Third brother, don't let them hit my third brother, a little girl sobbed. I awoke, dazed, to find my 7-year-old sister clinging to me in tears. Confused, I wondered where I was. Memories flooded back. The girl was my sister, and I was back in my youth. How was this possible? It felt too real to be a dream. I touched my bleeding scalp. Several local boys were glaring at me, held back by villagers. Are you okay, third brother? I'm fine, don't be afraid. Regardless of reality, I couldn't bear my sister's tears. My memories of this event sharpened. It was the early 1970s in Sanshuiwan Village, my home. The village relied on a small river shared with neighboring Yuan. Water was scarce, leading to constant friction. Yuan was upstream, and their habit of polluting the water caused endless disputes between the village's youth. I, 19, had been provoked while fetching water and ended up in a brawl. Who dared touch brother you? Are you tired of living? Huzi, a tall youth, arrived with a shovel, ready to charge the Yuan boys before being restrained. Huzi, stop. You want to make this worse. I stood up, comforting my sister. I couldn't just stand by. I patted my sister's head and walked over. At 19 and 1.85 meters tall, I was exceptionally tall for the era. I was painfully thin, like a bamboo pole, which was typical for the time. Stay calm, Suyu. We have the moral high ground, but if you hurt them, it becomes mutual assault, warned Su Dihai. Su Dihai, a 32-year-old clan member and production team leader, had intervened to keep the peace. Exactly. The village party secretary is on his way. The Su clan won't let you be bullied, others added. Sanshuiwan was dominated by the Su clan, including the village leadership. Don't worry, Uncle Dihai, I won't be reckless. I approached Huzi, my childhood friend and distant relative, and pulled him back. I faced the 4 boys. Lai-san, I haven't offended you. Why the provocation? In my past life, I had never understood why they targeted me so aggressively over minor water disputes. You think you're worthy of the educated youth, Su Jiqing? Stop dreaming, Lai-san sneered. Are you insane? Su Jiqing is in our village. What business is it of Yuan? I retorted. Huzi and the other villagers were incensed by the Yuan boys' audacity. I recalled my past crush on Su Jiqing, though I knew she was out of my league. The gift of fish was a misunderstanding. She had been washing clothes in the river. I, practicing breath-holding underwater, had surfaced, startling her. She slipped and fell in. Feeling guilty, I gave her a fish as an apology and walked her home. That simple act had sparked rumors, but I wondered how it reached the neighboring village. The village party secretary, Su Dayong, arrived. Old party secretary. The crowd quieted. Even Lai-san feared Su Dayong's authority. Xiaoya, what happened? Why are you bleeding? It looked worse than it was. The scalp wound was superficial, though I felt weak from hunger. The villagers explained the fight over a woman. Su Dayong understood. Youth brawls were common and rarely treated as serious crimes. Even in Beijing, fights were common, but invading another village to bully someone was a line crossed. Go get Ma Sanyuan from Yuan. This is an insult to Sanshuiwan, Su Dayong ordered. Ma Sanyuan was a contemporary and former classmate of Su Dayong. Are you trying to bully us because you have more people? Lai-san shouted. Lai-san was a known local thug who had no real connection to Su Jiqing. Realizing he was in the wrong and fearing the consequences of the village leaders' meeting, Lai-san tried to flee. He knew the village party secretary held real power. He could assign him to manual labor or public shaming. Stop him. The villagers quickly pinned the 4 boys to the ground. Soon, Ma Sanyuan arrived to find his men restrained. Su Dayong, what is the meaning of this? Why are you bullying my people? Don't play the victim. Look at Suyu first. He pointed to the blood-covered me, who looked like I was on the verge of collapse. Someone explained the situation to Ma Sanyuan. Ahem, Dayong, this isn't a big deal. We're all neighbors. Why make such a scene? If the commune leaders hear about this, it'll be a joke. Su Dayong sneered, unimpressed. So, if someone gets beaten up in another village, they deserve it? Look at this young man. You bullied him like this, and you call it not a big deal? Ma Sanyuan knew what kind of person Lai-san was, but as village party secretary, he had to protect his own villagers to maintain his authority. Still, he recognized the severity of the situation and saw that I was indeed in a sorry state. Ma Sanyuan, are you going to handle this? If not, We'll report this to the public security and let them deal with it. Su Daqiang was confident. Given my injuries, the perpetrators would face detention or even labor reform. Ahem, no need for that. Let's settle this privately, shall we? That depends on me. I can't decide for him. Su Daqiang, a clan elder, looked at me, and I understood the cue. I'll listen to eldest uncle. You make the call. Su Daqiang was pleased by the young man's deference. Well, what do you suggest? Ma Sanshuiwan's use of honorifics boosted Su Daqiang's ego, though he kept his demands reasonable. He's my kinsman. I can't let him suffer. 10 Yuan, and I'll give you face. 10 Yuan? You're shameless. It's just a scratch. Ma Sanshuiwan was reluctant to pay. 10 Yuan was a fortune, equivalent to several months of work points for a rural villager. Even in the city, a temporary worker earned about 15 Yuan a month, while a permanent employee made 18 to 20. 10 Yuan was a massive sum. It was an exorbitant demand, enough to cover the cost of a bride price. It essentially wiped out a month's worth of labor. You're unhappy? Let's do the math. What if he has brain damage? Who pays for the medical checkup in the county town? He needs to recover and eat well. Pig brains for nutrition, plus a month off work. Who's going to feed him? While a month of recovery might be an exaggeration, I was covered in blood, making the situation look dire. A trip to the county hospital for exams and travel costs would easily exceed 10 Yuan. Su Daqiang held all the cards. He knew the total cost of a hospital visit would be 7 or 8 Yuan, making 10 a calculated, albeit steep, settlement. Ma Sanshuiwan realized that Su Daqiang had calculated the potential medical costs perfectly. Furthermore, the bureaucracy of the era made a hospital trip a logistical nightmare involving permits, escorts, and strict accounting of collective funds. It was far simpler for the brigade to send the money via an IOU than to deal with the red tape of a hospital visit. Fine, I'm done arguing. San, pay 10 Yuan and sign an IOU to the brigade, or we go to the public security. Choose. San had no choice. A criminal record would ruin him. He agreed to the terms. I secured the 10 Yuan and left with little sister and Huzi. Brother, why let him off so easily? Huzi asked. I recalled my past life, where I'd fought back and gained nothing. Getting compensation now was a victory. We're too close to Yuan, and many of our women married in from there. We can't make things too tense for the village party secretary. In truth, I was no longer the impulsive youth I once was. I knew how to play the long game. They returned to the village, and I went home with little sister. Where's mother? Mother and fourth brother are out picking wild vegetables. Eldest brother is in the fields. I realized why Lu Yuji hadn't been around. Go play. I'm going to wash up. I'm covered in blood. I entered my home, a 4-room adobe structure. My living arrangements were cramped, with my parents, eldest brother, and siblings sharing the rooms. Though I was 19 and should have had my own room, I hadn't bothered to move. The room felt like a time capsule from the 70s, complete with a square table, old chairs, and a mirror. The wash basin and thermos added to the authentic, rustic atmosphere. I had truly been reborn into the 70s. My father, a retired veteran, worked at the commune brick factory, providing a steady income. His eldest brother was 23 and missed the chance for university, which wouldn't resume for 7 years. No use worrying about that now. I cleaned my wounds with alcohol, deciding against a doctor to save money. Little sister peeked in, hungry. My own stomach growled. Food was scarce. My father's 18 Yuan salary was often delayed because the brick factory struggled to sell its goods. They couldn't afford to lose the job, so they endured the payment delays. I searched the house, but found nothing to eat, explaining why my mother was out foraging. I only found a bit of bran, barely fit for pigs. I knew they would be eating wild vegetable porridge again to survive. If the family had food, mother wouldn't forage for wild greens. She'd be earning work points with eldest brother, as no points meant no grain. Normally, a family with a father working at the brick factory shouldn't starve, but my family was burdened by grandparents, an eldest uncle, and a third uncle, with my father being the second son. Grandmother favored eldest uncle, the family's pillar. She once tried to give father's brick factory job to him. Mother had to kneel at the ancestral home gate with my sister to force the village head and grandfather to intervene and save the job. Since the job was a government placement for a veteran, it couldn't be seized unless father voluntarily relinquished it. The family's poverty stemmed from grandmother, who constantly demanded father's wages under the guise of feeling unwell, funneling the money to eldest uncle. Cough. There's no food, little sister. I'll go find some. Stay here. I ran to the small creek west of the village. Too injured to dive, I decided to spear fish with a wooden branch. I removed my shoes and waded into the creek. Experienced at fishing, I was lucky. A half-catty fish soon swam by. I gripped the branch, took a breath, and thrust it, piercing the fish. Ding. Experience +1. A panel appeared. 19. Strength 8, Speed 8, Skill points 1. Skill, Fishing LV2+. A leveling system? I was thrilled. I had hoped for a system since waking up. I realized experience points converted to skill points. I used my consciousness to click the plus sign next to Fishing LV2. The skill became LV3. Suddenly, fishing techniques and muscle memory flooded my brain. I realized that with higher levels, this muscle memory would become even more profound. Distracted, I let the fish slip away. Oh no, you don't. I lunged again, successfully re-spearing the fish. No experience was gained this time, which I noted. I continued fishing, now intuitively sensing where the fish hid. After a spearing spree, I tied several half-catty fish to a grass rope and headed home. The shallow creek lacked large fish, though I suspected bigger ones lived in the mountain pool downstream. Checking my system, Strength 8, Speed 8, Skill points 35. I realized experience gain correlated with the size or vitality of the catch. I had caught 7 or 8 fish, mostly half-catty to 3-catty in size. With nearly 10 catties of fish, I was satisfied, realizing the system's potential beyond just fishing. I walked home cautiously to avoid village gossip, as the collective mentality meant people often scrutinized individual gains. While a few fish might be ignored, a large haul would surely attract greedy neighbors. I arrived home, greeted by my 8-year-old sister. Third brother. You caught fish. She was a bright girl with a slight local accent. She'll keep it down, or eldest uncle will stir up grandmother to take them. I used this to keep her quiet, knowing how often grandmother had exploited us before. She covered her mouth obediently. Get a basin. I'll stew fish for lunch. She fetched the basin and water, her maturity heartbreaking. I cleaned the fish, keeping the 3-catty one aside, and preparing the rest. Watch the fire, little sister. I'm taking a fish to the village party secretary. I wanted to show gratitude to Su Dachang for helping me secure 10 yuan earlier. She nodded, sitting by the stove to manage the fire. In the village, 8-year-olds were expected to cook, often standing on stools to reach the stove. I did the cooking, leaving only the fire tending to her. I brought the fish to Su Dachang's house openly. Given the village party secretary's status, no one would dare be jealous. Su Dachang's wife opened the door. Su, you're looking for Dachang. I greeted her and waited at the gate. Su Dachang came out, eyeing the fish. In this era, food was precious. People rarely visited without bringing their own rations. Bringing food was a sign of respect, as families often lived on the brink of hunger. Old party secretary, I caught too many fish today. Please, take this one. After a polite refusal, Su Dachang accepted the gift and saw me off. Passing Huzi's house, I knocked. Brother Yu, what brings you here? I caught plenty of fish. Come to my place and have some. We were childhood friends. In the village, sharing a meal was the foundation of deep, lasting bonds. Hey, why didn't you call me to go fishing? Huzi didn't stand on ceremony. After telling his parents, he followed me, complaining about being left behind. This lack of pretense was the hallmark of our brotherhood. Likewise, whenever Huzi's family had something good, they'd invite me over. Since they didn't have much, they just shared a taste. I followed suit, bringing Huzi home. Third brother. Huzi brother. Little sister Xiaoya chirped as they entered. You're back? Huzi's here too? Come in. Wash up. Dinner's ready. Mother Lu Yuji returned. Seeing her for the first time since my rebirth, I felt a pang of emotion. I hadn't noticed her aging in my past life until it was too late. Now, at 40, she was still in her prime. Don't be formal. Auntie, I'll help serve the dishes. Huzi headed straight for the kitchen. Lu Yuji tried to shoo him out, but I ignored them and went to my room. Inside, my eldest brother, Su Sheng, was hunched over, sorting wild vegetables. Back already, big brother? Yeah. I smelled the fish the moment I walked in. You cooked it all at once. What if we can't finish it? It's early spring, it won't spoil. Where's Lao Si? Lao Si, 14-year-old Su Jin, was in primary school, though classes were frequently suspended. You asked for it. Since you cooked all the fish, we had to call Dad. I sent Su Jin to get him. He should be here soon. The siblings included eldest brother Su Shang, second sister Su Li, I third, Su Jin, fourth, and youngest sister Su Jing, fifth. By the way, I heard you got beaten up? What happened? Su Shang dropped the basket and stared at me. I hadn't intended to hide it, having told Su Jing to downplay the injuries to our mother. Rural kids fought often. Su Shang used to keep a machete under his bed, and our father, Su He, had spent many trips to the police station bailing him out. That was in my youth. I rarely fought now that I was over 18. It's nothing, just a scratch. It was Lai San from Yuan. Don't know what his problem is. Su Shang's expression darkened. Lai San was his age, while I was younger. I'll get revenge for you later. I quickly talked him out of it. Su Shang was a brute who could take on 3 or 4 men at once. The Su family had great genes. Our father and Su Shang were both 1.9 meters tall. I was a short 1.85 meters. Speaking of Lai San, I saw him arguing with Su Bin earlier. They stopped when Mom and I passed by. Su Bin, the eldest grandson of the Su family, was 24. Unlike Su Shang, whose reputation was built on brawls, Su Bin was just lazy and unemployed. In this era, being a tough guy was seen as being a hooligan or a vagrant. Su Shang had been expelled from middle school for fighting, which ruined his marriage prospects. Su Bin was different. He was a slacker who shirked work points. His marriage prospects were stalled by his own high standards and lack of ambition. He was a classic case of someone with big dreams, but no capability. He refused to settle for an ordinary girl, which was why he remained single at 24. Connecting the dots, I had a theory. Lai San was 5 years older and from a different village. They had no reason to interact. With my adult experience, I easily deduced the truth. So, Lai San was just a pawn for Su Bin. When I walked the educated youth, Su Jiqing, home, I had to pass through the village center. Sanshuiwan didn't have spare rooms, so the village had to build adobe huts for the educated youths. These huts were simple, mud bricks, straw-mixed mud roofs, and heated Kong beds. It cost only labor to build, with no other investment. These huts were usually placed at the edge of the village to avoid using prime land. Since I lived at the village entrance and the huts were at the end, I had to pass through the center, where Su Bin likely spotted us. What? Su Bin put Lai San up to this. What? Su Xing wouldn't care about Lai San, but Su Bin was family. Our father, Su He, always insisted on keeping the peace with his older brother's family, a sentiment Su Shang and I were sick of. Our father felt guilty because he had taken the military opportunity that should have gone to his older brother, and he had been sending money to support them ever since. Even though our grandmother favored the eldest, Su He accepted it to maintain filial piety, despite knowing his money was being siphoned off. Don't worry about Lai San, big brother. I have my own way to handle it. Don't be impulsive, let's just eat. I patted my brother's shoulder and went to wash up. Huzi and my mother brought the fish in. Soon, Su Jin and our father arrived on bicycles. Our father, a foreman at the brick factory, often used the factory bikes for work. Dad, you're back? Huzi greeted him. The table held a large basin of fish, 7 pounds of it. It smelled divine. Huzi's here? Sit down, don't be a stranger. Huzi's father was older than Su He, so the families were close and maintained traditional ties. They were distant relatives within the 5 degrees of mourning and visited each other during the new year. Third brother, this fish is great. Can we go fishing again this afternoon? I'll go with you. Su Jin stuffed his face, chattering away. No. Stay home and do your homework. If you go to the river, I'll break your legs, Lu Yuji snapped. I gave my brother an apologetic look. I couldn't help him there. Huzi chuckled and kept eating. With 7 pounds of fish for 7 people, everyone was stuffed. Their stomachs had shrunk from long-term hunger, making a pound of fish and some soup more than enough. Stop running around this afternoon, Su father scolded. Since you aren't in school, go help your brother in the fields. Don't be a loafer like him. The 5 men sat outside digesting. Su father puffed on his dry tobacco, criticizing Sheng Guer for being idle. A dated jab. as Shungur had been working the fields diligently since turning 18. The idea of me farming under the collective system was absurd. Working harder only meant covering for others' laziness. It was a drop in the bucket. Unless the weather was perfect, the harvest would never be enough to feed everyone. This was the flaw of the collective. Why work hard when you get the same points as the slackers? People would hide in the cornfields all day, doing minimal work while waiting for others to finish the job. Even with accountability measures, nobody wanted to be the one to report neighbors for laziness and risk social friction over collective land. I'm not going to the fields, I said. It's not worth the meager points. I'm going into the mountains with Huzi to hunt for game meat. Sanshuiwan Village sat near the mountains, where the militia often organized hunts during lulls in farming, making local wildlife common. Into the mountains? Absolutely not. It's too dangerous, Su's father and my brother insisted. Don't worry, we aren't going deep. We'll stick to the outskirts to catch pheasants and rabbits. Hearing we'd stay on the periphery, Su's father relented. Local children often scavenged for firewood or mushrooms there. It was safe from large predators. Fine, just be careful. If you don't want to work the fields, so be it. Because Su's father's wages were often diverted to his brother's family by my mother, he lacked the authority to discipline us firmly, which had contributed to my brother's past recklessness. After a short rest, Su's father left for work, while Lu Yuji and my eldest brother headed to the fields as the village bell signaled the start of labor. Lao Si, stay home, help Yada with her homework, and don't wander off, my mother warned. Ignoring Su Jin's resentful glare, I and Huzi left, with me immediately asking to borrow Huzi's family's horn bow. Huzi's father, a skilled marksman and archer from a lineage of veteran hunters, served in the militia. I hoped to leverage this connection to get my hands on a weapon. No way. That bow is my dad's treasure. If he finds out I took it, he'll break my legs. Who's going to tell? Don't you want to venture deeper into the woods instead of just hanging around the edges? The horn bow was a relic. While hunters now used homemade shotguns, crude weapons firing iron sand with a 50-meter effective range, the shotgun's wide spread was lethal, though it lacked the precision of a bow. The catch was that if you missed or failed to kill your target, you had to run. Wild boars and wolves wouldn't wait for you to reload. Ahem, my family's horn bow is a 3-stone bow. Can you even draw it? A stone equals 120 gene, 60 kilograms. A 3-stone bow requires 360 gene of force to pull the string into a full moon. Such a draw weight would be the mark of a legendary general in ancient times. Realizing my own physical limitations, I could barely lift 300 gene, let alone draw a bow of that weight. I immediately gave up on the idea. It was clear the bow was merely a family heirloom, likely unused for generations, making Huzi's reluctance perfectly understandable. Failing to secure the horn bow, we settled for 2 weapons from Huzi's grandfather, a 1-sure bow for me and a crossbow for Huzi. Brother, are you sure? Even my grandfather can't draw this 1-sure bow anymore. Only my dad uses it. I pulled the bowstring taut. While I couldn't reach a full draw, a half draw was manageable. It'll do for now. I preferred the bow over the crossbow for training. While the latter was powerful, its slow reload hindered my goal of accumulating skill points and experience. I needed a weapon I could practice with consistently. Let's go, or we'll be late getting back. They shouldered their gear and headed toward the mountains. Goshing mentioned bears in the area. Wonder if it's true. Goshing loves to exaggerate. Don't scare yourself. Let's cross this ridge to Swan Lake. Swan Lake was a reed marsh near the mountains, a prime spot for migrating swans, wild ducks, and fish, a hunter's paradise. Because it sat in a basin collecting mountain runoff, the area was treacherous with swamps. Combined with the difficult climb over the ridge, few people ventured there. The path to the lake was a local secret, known only to those from Sanshuiwan. Swan Lake? Are you after duck eggs? The lake was rich in eggs, but the danger of sinking into the marshes kept even the locals away. Look at my gear. Do I look like I'm foraging for eggs? I gestured to my bow. You want to hunt wild ducks? Hurry up. It's a long trek, and if you get home late and your dad beats you, don't blame me. Huzi chuckled. They had been partners in mischief since childhood, and my jab was just light-hearted banter. Asterisk bang. Bang bang. Asterisk, what was that? Sounds like gunfire. As they neared the ridge, gunshots echoed from the left. The intervals are long. It's likely a homemade shotgun. Unlike rifles, the old-fashioned shotguns required manual loading of gunpowder and iron scrap. Even for a veteran, reloading took at least 30 seconds. The rhythm of the 3 shots confirmed it was a homemade weapon. What do? Should we check if it's someone from the village? Experienced hunters usually fired once and retreated. Rapid shots suggested the person was in trouble. This area is full of wild boars. If someone is cornered, we have to help. They decided to investigate. They drew their bows and crept forward, soon hearing the frantic barking of a hunting dog. Something big. Be careful. The dogs panicked. High-pitched barks signaled they were facing a massive beast. I'll go first. If it's too much, run. Don't look back. Don't talk nonsense. I'm not leaving my brother behind. Huzi pushed ahead, and I followed. Look, there's a man. They spotted a man lying on a large rock, bleeding heavily but still breathing. Stop staring. Check what it is. The hounds are barking but won't advance. It must be something big. You don't get it, UG. They're protecting their master, not afraid. Look, that black dog is already charging. Huzi, from a hunting family, knew better. Stop talking and check before he dies. I braced myself, one sure bow ready, and cautiously approached the man. Huzi followed with his crossbow, scanning the brush for any sign of a tiger. Uncle, are you okay? I checked the man's pulse. He was breathing, but his abdomen was slashed and bleeding heavily. Damn, it's a Paolon Z. Be careful, UG. A Paolon Z is a massive, aggressive boar, often weighing 400 pounds. It charges like a jeep. Huzi's legs went weak at the memory of the beast. It could snap thick trees like twigs. Its tusks could easily disembowel a man. These boars are territorial and man-eating. If not for the 6 dogs, the man would surely be dead. Quiet. Stay alert. I'll carry him down the mountain. I used my jacket to bind the wound, hoisted the man onto my back, and hurried down. Huzi followed. Some dogs remained behind to harass the boar, while 2 lay dead. What a shame. Such loyal dogs. Uncle Yukai? Quick, can you save him? They rushed to Li Yukai, the village doctor in Sanshuiwan. Save who? Did you do this? No time for jokes, uncle. It's a life-or-death situation. Li Yukai recognized the man as Huang Hongsheng from Huangjia Village. He checked the pulse, frowning. Bring him in. He's lost too much blood. I'll try to stop the bleeding and stitch him up. Though a TCM practitioner, Li often performed veterinary tasks for the village, earning him animal parts as payment. He kept surgical needles and disinfectants on hand. Li used silver needles to instantly stop the bleeding. Amazing, Uncle Yukai. Li smirked. My ancestors were imperial physicians, you know. While villagers doubted his claims, I was impressed by his skill, which surpassed modern professors. Stop hovering. Go to Huangjia Village and notify his family. Huzi and I realized our oversight. If the man died, his family wouldn't even know. As they turned to leave, Li called them back. Huzi groaned, dreading the 20-mile trek. You don't even know his name. How will you find his house? Isn't he Huang Laodeng? Huzi realized Laodeng was a derogatory nickname. I realized they would have been beaten if they used that name in the village. Li, being the local doctor, knew everyone, but the boys were outsiders. Using the nickname would be seen as a provocation. It was like calling a man from a Ho surname village Old Monkey. His name is Huang Hongsheng. He lives at the west end of Huangjia Village. Got it. They realized Li had teased them on purpose. They sprinted toward Huangjia Village. Look, the dogs are leading us. The surviving dogs had followed them to ensure their master was safe. Only 4 dogs remained. The others had perished. They're smart. They know we're saving their master. The dogs were likely guiding them to ensure they reached the right home. The dogs kept pace, checking back on them. Exhausted from the mountain run, the boys struggled to keep up. They arrived at dusk. The dogs had already reached the village. Listen, they're barking for help, but the family doesn't understand. They knocked, and a young girl opened the door. She expected her father, not 2 strangers. They explained the situation. The girl burst into tears and called for her brothers. 2 burly young men emerged, looking like typical northern warriors. What happened? Who are these guys? The brothers glared at me and Huzi with protective, hostile intensity. I appraised the girl. Oval face, willow leaf brows, and dimples. Despite her thick winter clothes, her figure was remarkably shapely. I sighed, comparing her to my own gluttonous sister. Hey kid, stop staring. Who are you people? The brother demanded. The girl noticed my gaze and felt a flash of annoyance, but she suppressed it, remembering I was her father's savior. She silently labeled me a lecher, though she was used to being called a vixen by villagers who favored a sturdier, broader build over her slender, curvaceous frame. In this era, her slim, shapely figure was considered unconventional, often drawing comparisons to the fox spirits in storybooks. Huzi finally spoke up. Don't misunderstand. We're here to tell you your father was injured and is currently at Dr. Li Yotsai's place in Sanshuiwan Village. Huzi tugged my arm, snapping me out of my daze. I, a transmigrator who had seen plenty in my past life, felt embarrassed for staring. I had simply been momentarily stunned by such a rare, natural beauty in this rustic setting. Upon hearing their father's life was in danger, the brothers were frantic. How could he be hurt? He had Dayong and the others with him. Hunting dogs were crucial. A pack of 7 or 8 large dogs could harass a beast like a wild boar or wolf, creating a window for a hunter to fire their shotgun. Without dogs, a hunter faced immediate death if they missed their shot. Dogs provided a tactical buffer, biting and retreating to distract the predator. This constant harassment bought the hunter precious time to either counterattack or escape. It was useless, I interrupted. He encountered a massive wild boar, at least 400 pounds. You're missing 2 dogs. They were dying when we left. Your father had 7 dogs, but only 2 were large enough to handle a boar. The rest were useless. Without the bite force of large breeds, the smaller dogs were just a nuisance to a boar, and they would be killed if the beast turned on them. Even German shepherds can't withstand a boar's charge. Stop talking and get to Sanshuiwan Village. Your father is waiting. Wait, mother is at Aunt Lou's. Should one of us stay behind to tell her? They decided the 2 brothers would head out first, while the second brother waited for their mother to catch up. Brother, my apologies for our earlier hostility, the eldest brother said. I heard you carried our father down the mountain. Thank you. The girl looked at him with gratitude, and I gave Huzi a thumbs up. No problem. It's only human nature. I'm Huang Shan, my brother is Huang Hai, and my sister is Huang Sui. What's your name? I was relieved the sister's name was Huang Sui, not something awkward like Huang Hu, Yellow Lake. Call me Suyu. This is my friend, Su Xiaoyu. After the introductions, the group set off. Both I and Huzi were exhausted from the mountain trek. Huang Shan didn't want to leave them behind, so they waited for Huang Hai and their mother to catch up, forming a group of 6. They chatted along the way to pass the time. Huang Hai talked with Huzi, Huang Shan with me, and Huang Sui walked behind with her mother. The 20-mile journey was grueling, filled with uneven, hilly terrain. They finally reached Sanshuiwan Village just as dusk settled. After introducing the family to Liu Kai, I prepared to leave. Frustrated by a day without a catch or skill points, I decided to try my luck at the lake. You're here now, so I'll head off. You can borrow a room at Uncle Yotsai's place for the night. Liu Kai lived with his 14-year-old daughter. His wife had passed, and his son worked as a doctor in the county town. Thank you, young man, the mother said. Once he recovers, my sons will come to thank you properly. No need, auntie. Anyone would have helped. I'm off. I signaled Huzi to follow. UG, this isn't the way home. Where are we going? Are you kidding? I've spent all day out here and haven't caught a thing. Are you satisfied with that? Huzi realized I wasn't, but they had been delayed by the rescue. But it's dark. My dad will beat me if I'm late. You're 18. I'm going to the lake to catch a fish. Fine, I'll go with you. I'll take the beating. I smirked. Just tell your dad we were busy helping the Huang family. The whole village will know by tomorrow. He'll be proud of us. We control the narrative on when we got back. Right? You're a genius, UG. Stay there, I'm going down. I rolled up my pants, grabbed a makeshift wooden spear, and waded into the creek. Need help? It's pitch black. Can you even see? Stay put. You'd just be in the way. I relied on my memory of a pit I dug earlier where fish gathered. I moved slowly to avoid spooking the prey. I couldn't risk Huzi's clumsiness. My fishing skill was at level 3, and I didn't want to lose my chance. In the moonlight, I spotted a dark shape in the pit, a large fish. Small fish aren't worth it. I'm going for the big one. I tensed, aimed, and thrust the spear. With a splash, I skewered a 3-pound fish. Holy crap, you actually caught one. Huzi was stunned. He hadn't expected me to actually catch a fish. Ding. Experience +3. Host. Age, 19, Strength, 8, Speed, 8, Skill points, 38, Skill, Fishing LV3. 3 points gained. Once I unlocked other skills, I could use these points to upgrade, saving significant time. I grabbed the fish and headed for the bank. Let's go. The commotion scared the rest away. Huzi followed, praising me incessantly. Enough, go home. If you want fish, tell your parents to come over. I won't be coming to get you. They were late. Huzi needed to get home before his father came looking with a kitchen knife. Got it. Going into the mountains tomorrow. I replied, we'll see. I'll find you if I go. I couldn't commit. My family would forbid it after the recent trap incident. Yet, I had to go to grind my archery skill. I returned home to find my younger sister, Xiaoya, playing in the dirt. Third brother, you're back. Her shout brought my parents and eldest brother out. Seeing the fish, my father asked, why so late? You went into the mountains. I lied. Nothing there, just caught this on the way back. Grandmother, who had been hiding behind my mother, interjected, second brother, your father hasn't been eating well. Let me take this fish to nourish him. I realized my biased grandmother was the reason my sister was hiding outside. She despised girls, and Xiaoya was terrified of her. Seeing my sister eyeing the fish, I firmly refused. No. Huzi helped catch this. It's half his. If you want it, I'll ask him to sell it to you at a fair price. No one believed me, but even my usually filial father remained silent. You're asking your own grandmother for money? Is that how you were raised? The old lady snapped at Su's father. She ignored me, pressuring my father directly. Grandmother, it's not about money. It's Huzi's share. How about I invite grandfather over to eat with us? That way, you don't have to pay, and we can all share. My logic was sound. It solved my father's dilemma without offending anyone. My mother agreed. Exactly, mother. Let's have father over to eat. The old lady refused. She wanted the fish for her favorite grandson, Su Bin. Inviting the whole family would ruin her plan. Fine, if you lack filial piety, I won't force you. I don't want people saying I'm bullying you. Her sarcasm infuriated me, but I was trapped by the era's strict social codes regarding filial piety. It was a tight headband curse. Breaking it meant risking my reputation. Xiaoyu, just take the money and give her the fish, my father urged. I was exasperated by my father's constant capitulation. Dad, if I give her the fish, she'll have to cook it herself. Isn't it more filial to cook a meal for her? Are you saying you're too lazy to serve your own mother? I'll go ask the village chief to judge if it's unfilial to offer a cooked meal instead of handing over raw fish. I turned to leave. The whole family froze, stunned by my bold accusation. Wait. Forget it. I'm leaving, the old lady stammered, retreating. She muttered to my mother to consider the matter before leaving. My brother, Shengguer, gave me a thumbs up, but I noticed my father approaching with a stick. Unfilial, am I? I'll show you why flowers are red, my father growled. I endured 10 minutes of a bamboo stick beating. It wasn't lethal, just a standard parental punishment. Stop faking it. Go clean the fish, my father grunted before heading inside. Shengguer approached, laughing at my misfortune. You're laughing? You could have helped. I complained. You deserved it for calling Dad unfilial. Besides, you didn't help me when I got beaten, my brother retorted. Xiaoya appeared, begging for fish. I sighed. Fine, I'll clean it. Shengguer followed me out. We went to a nearby stagnant pond to clean the fish under the cover of darkness. I'll do it. You watch, Shengguer offered. I let him, then asked, what did grandmother want mother to consider? I hadn't had a chance to ask earlier. It's about a matchmaker deal. Grandmother and aunt, Eldest, are from Zheng family village. They're related. I knew this. Rural marriages were usually local. What does that have to do with today? Aunt's brother has a 20-year-old daughter. They want to arrange a marriage between you two. Grandmother thinks it would mend the rift between our families if you married into their side. She's family, knows our situation, and won't demand a high bridal gift. What do you think? I stood up in a rage. What do I think? Forget it. Shengguer was confused by my intense reaction. Why so angry? It's just a way to reconcile. The girl is Zheng Hongmei, the village storekeeper, right? Shengguer was shocked. He had only just heard the name. How did I know so much? How do you know that? Have you met her? I kept my silence. In my past life, Zheng Hongmei married a neighbor. only for it to be revealed years later that she was pregnant by a male educated youth who had abandoned her. Zheng Hongmei discovered she was pregnant. In this era, abortion was dangerous and difficult, requiring marriage certificates and spousal consent, leading many to die in back-alley clinics. In the village, such clinics were non-existent, making her pregnancy a crisis. In my past life, I recalled her marrying an older bachelor to cover it up, staging a drunken encounter to avoid suspicion. What's really going on? If grandmother is helping them deceive us, I won't agree to this. I'll back you up, I said. Let's talk when we get home. This isn't simple, I replied. It was indeed suspicious. I had just been beaten by Lai San, and immediately after, my own grandmother arrived to arrange a marriage. This was likely Su Bin's scheme, a two-birds-one-stone maneuver to hide his cousin's pregnancy while eliminating me as a rival for Su Jiqing. I had no real interest in Su Jiqing, but I was furious that Su Bin was trying to make me a scapegoat. I wouldn't let myself be bullied. I headed home, where Su Sheng started cooking and Su Jin did his homework. I pushed open the door and asked my mother directly, "Did grandmother come to arrange a marriage?" Seeing my anger, my mother nodded, confirming the proposal. "Mother, do you know Zheng Hongmei is already pregnant by a male-educated youth? Aunt must know. This is a trap to make me raise another man's child. We should cut ties with the eldest uncle's family," I urged. His parents and brother were stunned by the revelation. "Third brother, are you sure? You can't ruin a girl's reputation lightly," his father warned. "The youth is Lu Yuanzheng. Go ask around. If she isn't pregnant, I'll change my surname," I retorted. "I know this for a fact." "Father, how can you trust grandmother when she's so close to her own family?" The eldest uncle sighed. "Enough. If it's true, I'll refuse. Your grandmother likely doesn't know. It's your aunt who is heartless," his father decided. I doubted my grandmother was innocent, suspecting she was fully complicit in this orchestrated trap. I had said my piece to ensure my parents wouldn't be tricked. "Where are you going?" his sister asked. "To get Huzi for dinner," I replied. I wanted to reassure my parents I wasn't going out to fight. I was still fuming. In my past life, I had fled the village to escape my father's blind filial piety toward the eldest uncle's family. Since Subin wants to play games, I'll make sure to get involved with Su Jiqing just to spite him, I thought. I arrived at Huzi's house and knocked. Su Xiaoban opened the door. "I'm here for your brother. Bring him to eat fish," I said. The brothers were named after a military rank, though the naming stopped after the girls were born. Huzi was 18, and Xiaoban was 15. Their mother had suffered complications during Huzi's birth, causing the age gap. Huzi's father, Su Dihai, appeared. He was often annoyed by me, who he felt was a bad influence on his son. Because they were within the 5 degrees of mourning, Dihai acted as an elder, often scolding me. "Uncle Dihai, I'm inviting Huzi and the younger ones to eat fish," I said. Dihai had 2 sons, Huzi and Xiaoban, and 2 daughters, Su Ro and Su Qianqian. Dihai had eventually given up on having more children, content with his 4. Being poor and having started a family late, he couldn't afford more children at his age. "Yuji, why are you here?" Huzi asked. Huzi hadn't expected an invitation. "You helped catch the fish, so come eat," I insisted. Huzi looked at his father, who barked, "Go on, don't be rude." "Let's go, Xiaoban, bring the steamed buns," Huzi said. The 2 shy sisters, Su Ro and Su Qianqian, followed along. At home, the fish was ready. Su Sheng had added extra water to the soup to stretch the meal. "Sister Ro, Sister Qianqian, you're here." Su Jing cheered. The children greeted each other happily. "Everyone, sit and eat," Su He invited. Huzi's family showed good manners as they sat down. "You youngsters eat. We'll stay in the kitchen," Su father and mother said to give them space. They didn't want to make the children feel constrained. "Is it okay for your parents to eat in the kitchen?" Huzi asked. "Don't worry about it. Just eat," Su Sheng replied. I knew my parents would always prioritize the children's nutrition over their own. "Are you going into the mountains tomorrow?" Su Sheng asked. "I plan to. You should rest your head injury," I suggested. After eating, the younger ones went off to play. Su Jing joined the girls in another room. Huzi and Su Sheng joined me for a private chat before leaving. As they watched Huzi leave, Su Sheng asked, "Are you planning to go after Su Bin?" "Why do you say that, big brother?" I asked. "I know you. You're not a brute like me. But you're just as unwilling to take abuse, Su Xing said. I won't stop you, but if you decide to fight, make sure you call me. I watched my brother walk away, touched by the unexpected show of solidarity. I was awakened by a commotion to find my younger brother, Lao Si, disheveled with a scratch on his forehead. Lao Si, what happened? Did you get into a fight? Lao Si ignored me, heading toward the eldest brother's room while cursing Su Yuqing for ambushing him. He crawled under the bed to retrieve Su Sheng's hidden machete, a spot known to all the brothers. I rushed in and snatched the weapon away just as Lao Si grabbed it. Give it back, third brother. Give it to you? You're only 14. Do you even know how to use that? You're out of line. At 14 and 1.65 meters tall, Lao Si was still a child. Letting him wield a blade would lead to disaster. Tell me what happened. Su Sheng was 23, so the younger siblings usually turned to me for help to avoid escalating matters to the eldest. I ignored our little sister, Su Jing, and stared down Su Jin, Lao Si. Lao Si explained that Su Yuqing and 3 classmates from a neighboring village had ambushed and assaulted him. I asked, why would he target you for no reason? Lao Si fumed. He was bad-mouthing you, saying you were ungrateful for rejecting his cousin. I talked back, so he attacked me. I was incensed. While I couldn't let my brother suffer, I was 19 and couldn't personally beat up a 15-year-old without causing a scandal. Listen, go gather some boys from the village, especially the children of the village head and brigade officials. I'll handle the rest. After whispering my plan to Lao Si, I borrowed a bike from the village head and rode to the county town. Returning shortly, I handed a bag to Lao Si, instructing him to claim he had stolen the items. Soon, 7 or 8 local boys aged 14 or 15 arrived. Lao Si opened the bag, revealing candy, canned food, and pastries. Uncle Jean, are we really allowed to eat this? Despite my age, my family had high seniority, so the village children addressed Lao Si as uncle. Eat up. But remember, we share the burden. If we beat up Su Yuqing, no one chickens out, or you're out of the group. The boys, accustomed to rural scuffles, agreed readily for the sake of the snacks. It was just a fight, not a crime. They were used to roughhousing. Don't worry, Uncle Jean. Su Yuqing bringing outsiders to bully our own is wrong. We've got your back. The 9 boys, armed with wooden sticks hidden under their clothes, set off. Su Yuqing and his friends were surely still at his home. Su Xiaoping was sent to lure them out. Soon, the sound of shattering glass echoed from the uncle's house, and Su Yuqing and his friends chased after Xiaoping. Xiaoping stopped at the alley entrance. You dare smash our windows, Su Xiaoping? I didn't touch your windows. As Su Yuqing moved to attack, Lao Si and his group stepped out, blocking the path. Su Yuqing, you like bringing outsiders to bully villagers? Try touching him now. The alley was blocked at both ends by the boys. They drew their sticks, intimidating Su Yuqing and his friends. Su Jin, what are you doing? Teaching you how to behave. Stop bullying your own kin with outsiders. Lao Si struck first, landing a blow on Su Yuqing's head. The group swarmed him, focusing on his body while avoiding the head. A passerby shouted, and the group scattered instantly. Su Yuqing was left bruised and battered, and the incident was reported to his father, Su Fugui. At the clinic, Su Fugui learned the truth about his son's provocation. While Su Fugui stayed quiet, his wife was furious and marched toward my home to demand an explanation. The house was empty. I was already in the mountains with Huzi. Huzi and I were hunting, equipped with a one-sure bow and a crossbow. I signaled Huzi to stop. A rabbit was visible 20 meters away. That's too far, brother you, Huzi whispered. I silenced him. I crept forward, staying in the rabbit's blind spot. At 15 meters, I stopped, knowing the rabbit would bolt if I moved closer. I drew the heavy one-sure bow, straining but steady. Whoosh! The arrow flew. The rabbit jumped and fled. Missed? Huzi asked. But my system panel showed +8 EXP. I had hit it. They found blood trails in the grass, confirming the hit. Let's track it. I checked my system panel. Strength 8, Speed 8. Skills, Fishing 4-3, Basic Archery 4-1. Skill points, 46. Huzi thought I was excited about the hunt, but I was focused on the system. System, Upgrade Basic Archery. I poured my points into the skill. My stats updated. Strength 13, Speed 10, Basic Archery 4-7. I spent 40 skill points to upgrade basic archery to 4-7. Costs scale exponentially. 1 point for level 2, 2 for level 3, and 8 for level 4. Costs vary by skill. Trivial skills are cheap, while difficult ones require significant investment. Manual practice reduces the skill points required for upgrades, meaning effort directly translates into savings. This system rewards hard work, allowing me to potentially reach 4-4 in fishing without spending any points. Manual progress is slow, whereas using skill points provides an immediate, unreasonable boost. As basic archery hit 4-7, a flood of memories and muscle memory surged into my brain. My arms thickened visibly, and my entire body surged with newfound power. Checking under my clothes, I found defined abs and well-developed biceps. Not bulky, but lean and aesthetic. My body felt chemically enhanced. Huzi, follow me. The rabbit is this way. I led the way, Huzi trailing behind. The archery upgrade improved my strength, vision, hunting experience, and tracking ability. I could now draw the 1-sure bow effortlessly and could even manage a 2-sure bow. My strength rose from 8 to 13 and speed from 8 to 10, putting me above the average person. I wasn't a superhuman, just a physically fit man. Look, there's the rabbit. Using the tracking skill granted by my archery, I spotted the prey. My panel updated to show tracking 4-1. I immediately poured my remaining 6 points into tracking, raising it to 4-3. My stats: strength 13, speed 10, fishing 4-3, basic archery 4-7, tracking 4-3. Huzi grabbed the rabbit, laughing. Rabbit meat for dinner. I urged him to keep moving. We bagged pheasants, rabbits, 8 huigo-zi, squirrels, and a large hedgehog. The hedgehog's meat is red and resembles dog meat, a rare treat for the hungry. By day's end, my basic archery reached 4-9, and my strength climbed to 15. Brother, you look taller and stronger, Huzi remarked. I played it cool. It's just the cotton coat. Let's keep moving. If we bag a deer, we'll be rich. Even if we don't, we've got 2 rabbits, 3 pheasants, a hedgehog, and 8 squirrels. That's a feast. My grandfather won't believe this haul. Such a massive harvest was only possible because of my tracking 4-3. Without it, we would have missed most of these targets. Need a break? I asked. Huzi, carrying the crossbow and the bamboo basket, was our pack mule. I'm fine. I can carry these few dozen pounds. My final stats: physique 10, strength 15, speed 10. Skills: fishing 4-3, basic archery 4-9, tracking 4-3. Skill points: 0. Today was a massive success, not just for the meat, but for the new skills. I gained a physique stat representing stamina, immunity, and environmental tolerance. Previously, my malnutrition prevented the system from tracking this, but now I've surpassed the average person. The 8 huigo-zi were all headshots. Their pelts are valuable at the commune's collection point. In an era where daily income is pennies, 1 squirrel pelt is worth 1.5 to 2 yuan. Let's head home before it gets too late. To sell the pelts, we must treat them with wood ash and dry them on frames to prevent hardening. The 8 pelts alone could fetch 12 to 16 yuan. What are we eating tonight, brother you? Huzi asked, thrilled by our partnership. Rabbit, I want to sell the pelts and the pheasants, then split the earnings with you. We had enough meat for the night. Selling the rest was the smart move. No way. You did the hunting. I just want to be fed. The rule is, if you enter the mountains together, you share the risk equally, regardless of who makes the kill. It's about the shared danger of the hunt. Huzi insisted on only 1/3, citing the traditional hierarchy of the hunt. We're brothers. Let's just split it half and half. Huzi held firm to the traditional 1/3 split to avoid future resentment. Fine. Bring your brother and sister to my place for meat tonight. Deal. On the way down, my 4-9 archery helped me spot a 25-pound badger hiding in the grass. I marked the location, knowing badgers are social animals. We should come back for the rest of the family, I said. Huzi warned me. Badgers are dangerous in groups. Even hunting dogs get killed in their burrows. We'll be careful. I want that badger oil for cooking. Badger oil is a prized delicacy in the village. Need help carrying that. Our total haul was now over 40 pounds. I've got it. I could carry 50 pounds if we hunted like this every day. Don't push it. Let me take the badger. No. Keep your hands free in case we spot more game. Huzi's willingness to do the heavy lifting showed his character. He didn't want to feel like a freeloader. I understood his pride and didn't force the issue. We've known each other since childhood. We know where the boundaries lie. I and Huzi quickly descended the mountain. Finding no other game, we returned to the village. Since my home was at the village entrance, we avoided being spotted. Entering the house, we found Su Jin, Lao Si, standing in punishment with a water-filled basin on his head, while his little sister watched. Huzi teased him about practicing acrobatics. Huzi knew the families were close and immediately recognized the scene as a standard punishment. Su Jin rolled his eyes, ignoring Huzi, and told me he hadn't betrayed me despite the trouble. He then noticed the game. Su Jin set down the basin and trotted over, asking if they would have meat for dinner. Hearing Su Jin say we had caught game, little Su Jing ran out from her room, abandoning her hiding spot. I laughed, promising everyone would eat their fill. Suhi emerged from his room with a cold snort. Su Jin trembled and immediately resumed his punishment. I feigned ignorance, but Suhi was not easily fooled. Suhi scolded me for orchestrating Su Jin's scheme to bribe other kids to help him fight. Suhi restrained himself from using a stick, as I was already 19. Suhi dismissed my feigned shock, telling me to stop acting. Suhi revealed that Su Jin had broken Su Youqing's head, leading to a loud confrontation with the aunt. Suhi had to pay 5 yuan to the village head to settle the matter. Suhi demanded the remaining money I had received from Lai-san. He held out his hand, expecting the cash. I realized I couldn't keep it. My father wanted to discipline me for funding the fight. I handed over 5 yuan. Seeing that was all that remained, Suhi grew even angrier. Suhi berated them for being spendthrifts, wasting 10 yuan on a single fight. I thought to myself that 10 yuan was a pittance, but I kept quiet to avoid further conflict. Suhi warned that this was the last time, noting that only the village head's intervention had prevented further trouble. Though Suhi acted furious, he understood the context. Su Youqing had provoked Su Jin first. The conflict stemmed from Su Jin's marriage prospects. As a former soldier who had seen combat, Suhi had a temper, though he rarely showed it to his family. Suhi was secretly satisfied that I had stood up for my brother, even if it cost money. I remained silent, neither admitting nor denying the accusation, letting the matter fade. Sensing the tension, Huzi excused himself to fetch his siblings, secretly impressed by my boldness. Huzi returned home to gather Xiao Ben, Su Ro, and Su Qianqian. Su's father retreated, while Su Sheng emerged, marveling at the game. Su Jing drooled at the sight. Su Jin, still under punishment, stared intently, asking if I had really used a bow. Su Sheng was skeptical, as bows were largely obsolete compared to firearms. I knew guns were better, but prohibitively expensive. Even a worn-out Hanyang 88 rifle cost 80 yuan. A Type 56 semi-automatic rifle could cost 1,000, with prices scaling by efficiency. The Type 56 was safer and faster, crucial when a missed shot meant losing the target. I joked about my divine talent. Soon, Huzi and his siblings arrived. Seeing the guests, Su's father ended Su Jin's punishment to save the boy's dignity. The children dispersed to play or chat in the rooms. Su's father joined in to help process the catch. The haul was impressive: 2 rabbits, 3 pheasants, a hedgehog, 8 squirrels, and a badger, dozens of pounds of meat. They decided to cook the rabbits, squirrels, and hedgehog, while keeping the pheasants and selling the badger meat. I agreed to keep the badger meat for ourselves instead of selling it. Su's father suggested sending portions to the third uncle and the grandfather. I and Su Sheng exchanged glances but didn't object. I questioned if the grandfather would actually receive his share, given the family tensions. Su's father acknowledged the rift, but felt obligated to maintain appearances. He insisted that they fulfill their duty regardless of the outcome. In the poor village, the smell of cooking meat would inevitably spread, making secrecy impossible. I agreed to visit the third uncle, but refused to go to the grandfather's house. Despite my mature mind, I maintained my 19-year-old persona. Su Jin immediately refused to go as well. Su Jin feared retaliation from Su Youqing. Su's father decided to deliver the meat himself to avoid accusations of unfilial behavior. I didn't stop him, knowing the power of village gossip could ruin my father's reputation. After cleaning, they had 20 pounds of badger meat remaining. Su's father divided the meat into 5-pound portions for the deliveries. He was happy to share with the third uncle, who had always been kind. I recalled how the third uncle had once helped pay for my sister's tuition when no one else would. Though that event hadn't happened yet, I cherished the memory of the third uncle's past kindness. I accepted the task. I left with the meat, while Su Sheng prepared the skins. I arrived at the third uncle's house, calling out to them. Su Xiaotong, the third uncle's daughter, opened the door. The third uncle has 2 children, both future university students, showing his great foresight. He even borrowed money for his sister's tuition. I entered, greeted by the third uncle and aunt, and explained I brought badger meat from my hunt with Huzi. I told them I specifically picked a fatty piece for the third uncle to render into oil for cooking. They invited me in warmly. The third aunt was particularly welcoming, taking the meat from me. She called out to her son, Dayong, to stop hiding in his room. Dayong is the third uncle's only son, a rarity in this era. Dayong asked if it was true that I'd saved old man Huang from the mountain. News had clearly spread, as the Huang family had been seen visiting Li Yotzai's home. I confirmed we carried him back after he hit a trap, noting he should be fine. Concerned about the danger, the third uncle urged me to stop hunting, offering to buy me meat instead. Though currently just a rural man, the third uncle's foresight would eventually lead his children to success. He offered help out of genuine concern for our family's poverty. I declined, assuring him I'd stay out of the deep mountains, and prepared to head home for dinner. Dayong walked me out, eager to join my next hunt. Dayong is straightforward and simple-minded, much like Su Sheng, but with a naive streak. I teased him, asking if he could even leave the house without his father breaking his legs. Unlike me, Dayong is an only son and strictly monitored. He insisted we keep it a secret, just wanting to experience the hunt. Like most boys, he was fascinated by the prospect of hunting with a crossbow. I agreed to let him join tomorrow afternoon, claiming I was busy in the morning to avoid mentioning my plans to sell skins. Upon returning, Dayong faced his father's suspicious gaze. The third uncle immediately guessed his son's intention to join me. He surprisingly gave his consent, provided Dayong stayed safe, avoided the deep mountains, and learned from me. Dayong was thrilled. His father even told him to handle his mother's reaction himself. They shared a silent understanding to keep the secret. The third uncle's parenting was masterful. By allowing the activity instead of forbidding it, he maintained his son's trust and avoided rebellion. This mutual understanding strengthened their bond, ensuring Dayong wouldn't resent him later. Meanwhile, back at my home, the atmosphere was tense. I asked Su Jin what happened. He explained that our aunt had berated father when he tried to deliver meat, publicizing the failed marriage proposal and throwing the meat on the ground. I was furious at the aunt's manipulation, assuming she thought we were acting arrogant by rejecting her niece. She clearly believed we were holding a grudge, using the incident to paint father as a hypocrite. I told father to stop worrying about the aunt and focus on feeding our own growing siblings. I began preparing the 13 pounds of badger, rabbit, and squirrel meat. We lacked staples, so I prepared the meat to be eaten with the coarse vegetable cakes Huzi had brought. These cakes, made of wild greens and bran, were barely edible but better than the thin gruel we usually survived on. Huzi's father, being in the militia, had provided these, which were a luxury for us. They were filling, unlike our usual meager rations. I kept cooking, ignoring the lingering tension as mother comforted father. Father eventually relaxed, not wanting to ruin the mood for Huzi. He drank his bitter tea, and the family's spirits lifted as the aroma of cooking meat filled the air. My little sister kept pestering me about when the food would be ready. Despite her current malnutrition, she would eventually become the family's first university student. My older brother, Su Sheng, had missed his chance at university due to the school closures. I scolded the little one playfully, promising she'd be the first to eat. I gave her and Su Qianqian some rabbit meat. I made sure to include Su Qianqian to avoid any feelings of favoritism. At 13 and 8, they were the youngest and most sensitive to such things. I didn't worry about the others, as they were older and understood. They thanked me happily. They sat together to enjoy the meat. Su Jin didn't dare beg, knowing I wouldn't tolerate it. Once the meat was ready, the girls excitedly helped set the table. I insisted Huzi take 5 pounds of badger meat home, refusing his polite protests. Huzi accepted with a grin and sat down. Though my parents didn't join the table, I set aside 2 generous portions for them. Huzi shared his vegetable cakes, and with 13 pounds of meat, we were all set for a feast. My parents each received half a pancake. Lu Yuji, despite telling Huzi not to bring food next time, was clearly delighted. Huzi's father, a militia member, earned a steady 10 points daily. While dangerous, the role ensured better rations and occasional brigade rewards. Huzi's family wasn't wealthy, but they had plenty of cornmeal. They mixed in wild vegetables to avoid standing out. Eating pure cornmeal in a collective setting invited suspicion of theft or falsified accounts. Even those with enough food kept a low profile to conform to local norms. Huzi, I'm heading to the county town tomorrow to sell skins and pheasants. Wanna come? While the commune purchased game, selling to county restaurants often fetched higher prices. Non-planned items like pheasants, wild boars, and roe deer could be sold openly. No coupons were required, just cash. Goods like tea, alcohol, and tobacco were tiered, while high-end items like mitai required coupons. Common varieties did not. Even with procurement permits, purchasing agents often operated discreetly, as off-plan trade occupied a legal gray area requiring connections. Selling meat was generally acceptable if the items didn't require coupons. Going to the county? Definitely. I haven't been in ages. I felt our remote area made the county town seem unremarkable compared to the local town. The children, Su Jing, Su Ro, and Su Qianqian, were busy devouring the meat. Su Sheng, Su Jin, and Su Xiaobin joined in, while Huzi chatted away, praising the badger and hedgehog meat. The meat vanished in 30 minutes. I warned them, "You kids aren't used to such rich food. Watch out for stomach issues tonight." I smirked, glancing pointedly at Su Ro and Su Qianqian, knowing my own family had at least eaten fish recently. Huzi and his sister hadn't eaten meat in ages. I knew they were likely to suffer digestive distress. Su Ro caught the warning and rolled her eyes, annoyed that I hadn't spoken up sooner. Huzi, oblivious, patted Su Jing's head, comforting her by saying it wouldn't matter if she got sick since she was young. Su Ro sighed at her brother's denseness. "Let's go home, brother, so we don't disturb the elders." Rural life followed a strict early schedule, with most people asleep by 7 or 8. Huzi bid farewell to my parents, taking the remaining badger meat home. They were left with 3 pheasants, 8 squirrel skins, 2 rabbit skins, and 1 badger skin. The squirrel skins were the most valuable, justifying the trip. I retreated to my room, frustrated by my aunt's interference and my father's passive reaction, though I understood his position. I hadn't intended to ruin Zheng Hongmei's reputation, regardless of her character. However, my aunt's malicious meddling chilled me, tempting me to spread rumors about her in retaliation. Her actions threatened to ruin my and my brother's marriage prospects, potentially destroying our family's standing. My aunt had crossed the line from petty rivalry to open hostility. The next morning, I woke to find my parents and brothers already working. Only my younger sister remained. I dropped my sister off at Huzi's house to play with Su Qianqian. Should we run or borrow the village chief's bike? I opted to borrow the bike to avoid a long, tiring trek. In the countryside, people were generally happy to offer rides to those they encountered on the road. "I'll go borrow it," Huzi said. The village chief's bike was the only one in the village. Even the local doctor, Li Yukai, couldn't easily acquire one due to the scarcity of bicycle coupons. Bicycles were major assets. Trading for coupons on the black market was risky and could lead to trouble. Black market sellers often provided fake documentation, claiming the coupons came from legitimate sources like the meat processing plant. One could claim the coupon was a gift, but the verification process was a headache. If the information provided by the scalper proved false, the buyer faced serious legal consequences. The village chief's bike was commune-issued and collective property, available for public use when not needed for official business. "Got it. Hop on." Huzi pedaled, with me riding on the back. They reached the county town. I decided to try the state-run restaurant first, planning to sell the skins at the commune later. They entered the largest state-run restaurant, I carrying the sack. "Are you here to eat?" a waiter asked, wiping a table. The waiter assumed they were early diners. "No, we're here to see if you're buying pheasants." The waiter was accustomed to such requests. "We have fixed procurement channels, so probably not." "Come on, friend, we've come a long way. Could you just ask the kitchen staff? Seeing their dusty, rural appearance, the waiter hesitated. Let me check, but don't bring me old, rotten meat. I smiled confidently, pulling out a fresh pheasant. I wouldn't dare fool you. You can see for yourself, this was caught last night. State-run employees were notoriously arrogant, often protected by the equality of the era and rarely catered to customers. They were known for being difficult and sometimes even violent toward patrons. Yet, the waiter, rarely praised or respected, was flattered by my smooth talk. Fine, you've got a silver tongue. I'll ask the kitchen, but I can't promise anything. Manager Fan, the state-run restaurant's procurement head, emerged from the kitchen with Master Lu, the head chef, to inspect me and Huzi's pheasants. I found the inspection overly formal, but Master Lu examined the birds, checked their freshness, and nodded in approval. Manager Fan praised their honesty and offered to buy all 3 pheasants at a flat rate, lacking a scale for precise weighing. He offered 3 yuan per pheasant. I and Huzi were stunned. Domestic chickens usually sold for 1.5 to 2 yuan. Though not a staple, wild game remained a luxury for the wealthy. Fan noted that while common pheasants were cheap, he would pay 80 yuan for a hazel grouse, Filong. Filong are rare, medicinal, and delicious, making them highly prized. I deferred to Fan's expertise. Pleased, Fan rounded the price to 10 yuan for the lot, inviting them to return with more goods. As the county's largest restaurant, Fan had to satisfy the varied, demanding palates of visiting officials. He strictly controlled quality to avoid any food safety incidents. My pheasants were fresh and high quality. I thanked him and wished him prosperous business. After receiving the 10 yuan, they treated themselves to tofu pudding and buns at a breakfast stall. Huzi suggested hunting Filong next time. I knew they were too elusive to target specifically. I advised Huzi that hunting a wild boar was more realistic than chasing the rare Filong. While Filong exist in the deep mountains, they are incredibly rare, whereas wild boars are easier to track. Filong are highly alert. Finding them requires more luck than skill. Huzi was disappointed to learn they weren't a quick path to riches. Huzi had underestimated the rarity of the bird, thinking it was just a colorful pheasant. They finished their meal, Huzi feeling thoroughly satisfied. Huzi remarked that he wished he could eat like this every day. I gave Huzi 3 yuan as his share, but Huzi hesitated to take it, feeling he shouldn't profit off their shared meal. I insisted he keep it, urging him to save for city purchases. They headed to the commune, a place Huzi knew well from childhood. They approached Fifth Master, a professional fur buyer. Fifth Master recognized Huzi and greeted him warmly. He asked about Huzi's grandfather and his hunting status. After brief pleasantries, they turned to business. Huzi introduced me and presented their furs. I offered Fifth Master a pack of Dichinmin cigarettes. Fifth Master initially refused, citing professional integrity. I insisted, joking that I'd get in trouble for keeping the cigarettes myself. Fifth Master accepted, then agreed to inspect the goods. Huzi revealed 8 squirrel, Huigo pelts. Fifth Master was slightly disappointed, having hoped for something rarer. While common, Fifth Master remained professional. He noticed the precise arrow wounds on the pelts, impressed by the clean kills. The pelts were perfectly preserved, showcasing the hunter's exceptional marksmanship. Praising the quality, he graded them as Class A and offered 2 yuan each. This was a generous price, as he often downgraded others to Class B to squeeze margins. He gave me Class A status to build rapport, hoping to secure future access to higher value game from this skilled archer. I accepted the offer. They were satisfied with the price, which far exceeded the cost of the cigarettes. Fifth Master paid them 16 yuan and asked them to return with more. He wanted to ensure they didn't take their business to other towns. Outside, I split the money, leaving Huzi with 8 yuan and myself with 18, a month's wages. Huzi suggested visiting the city marketplace. I agreed, as they had time before meeting Dayong. They biked to the marketplace. The market was bustling with vendors selling produce and livestock. Huzi spotted the animal section. They found pigeons, cats, dogs, and larger livestock. I stopped at a stall selling puppies. The elderly vendor grew annoyed when I called his dogs common mutts. A bystander corrected me, explaining these were green wolf dogs, highly valued by hunters as partners. I was taken aback. I hadn't realized the distinction, as they looked like ordinary gray dogs to me. The vendor dismissed me as an ignorant youth. He didn't expect a sale from someone who couldn't identify the breed. I challenged the vendor, arguing that I was simply asking out of curiosity. The vendor sarcastically confirmed they were green wolf dogs and asked if I intended to buy. I, irritated, demanded to know the price first. The old man, eager to sell his dog for quick cash, refused to waste time bickering with the youth. After some back and forth, the old man demanded 25 yuan, offering to drop to 15 if I bought it immediately. Take it or leave it. The old man doubted I, a rural lad, could afford 15 yuan, a sum equivalent to several months of savings for an average villager. 15? Are you crazy? That's way too expensive for a puppy. I countered. Nearby onlookers chimed in, explaining that a 3-month-old hunting dog was a bargain at 25, as a trained adult could fetch 70 or 80. They added that training a puppy takes months of effort, making the price a steal compared to a ready-to-work dog. Feeling vindicated, the old man smirked. I sighed. Fine, 15 it is. Here's the money, let me pick one. Everyone was stunned that the boy actually produced the cash. The old man hesitated, caught off guard. The man selling wild boars suppressed a laugh, while others watched the awkward standoff. Trapped by his own bluff, the old man decided to sell, figuring the boy didn't know how to pick a good dog anyway. Gritting his teeth, he accepted the 15 yuan. I, having prepared a retort for a refusal, was momentarily speechless when the old man actually agreed. All right, I'll make my choice, I said. As onlookers tried to offer unsolicited advice, the annoyed old man shooed them away. People always seemed eager to watch others fail or interfere when they saw a chance for drama. I didn't need their help. I had my past life memories in Huzi, whose grandfather was a seasoned hunter. I knew the difference between raised head scent dogs, which track via air currents, and lowered head scent dogs, which track via ground traces like footprints and blood. A raised head dog possesses all the skills of a lowered head dog, but not vice versa. Examining the puppy's nose moisture, bone structure, and eyes, I picked the one that felt right. Huzi, though inexperienced, noticed the old man's pained expression and realized I had likely picked a winner. Fearing the old man might renege, I grabbed the dog and left with Huzi immediately. The old man was indeed furious, regretting that the boy had somehow picked the best dog in the litter. Oblivious to the old man's frustration, I and Huzi left the marketplace for the supply and marketing cooperative. I spent my remaining 3 yuan on candies, pastries, and canned fish and fruit for my younger sister. After returning the bike and heading home, my sister, Su Jing, excitedly asked, "Third brother, what's the dog's name?" I looked at the grayish pup. "It's gray, so let's call it Haizi, Blackie." Su Jing didn't question the logic and happily ran off to play with the puppy. I began building a kennel for Haizi, assisted by my sister, until our mother and eldest brother, Shengger, returned from the fields. They spotted the puppy immediately upon entering. "Where did you get a green wolf dog?" the eldest brother asked, surprised. Shengger's recognition confirmed I had made a good purchase for 15 yuan. "Sold some skins in town and bought it for hunting," I explained. Their mother frowned, worried about the cost of feeding another mouth. "It's fine," I replied. "It can scavenge for now, and I'll improve its diet later." Su Jing hugged the dog protectively, scolding me for my crude suggestion. I kept quiet about the reality of a dog's diet, letting my sister remain innocent. Their mother retreated to the house, returning shortly after. "You spend all the money on food?" she asked. "It's for my sister. She's malnourished and needs the nutrients," I replied. Satisfied with his reasoning, she went to the kitchen without further complaint. The children shared the treats until their mother confiscated the rest, giving them each 3 candies. During lunch, I gave my younger siblings pastries. They ate happily, finishing the leftover meat soup from the previous day. The eldest brother remained silent, knowing the true value of the dog, but keeping it to himself to avoid ruining the meal. "Are you home?" Su Dayong arrived, likely to discuss their next mountain trip. I felt confident about the dog because of my secret system, which guaranteed future hunting success. Suddenly, drums and firecrackers erupted outside. The 4th brother ran out and returned, shouting that the village chief was leading a group to their house. The family went outside to investigate. "Brother Huang, what is this?" I asked. Huang Hongxing's sons and daughter, along with the Huangjia village chief, stood there with a basket containing a wild boar head. Huang Sui held 2 fish, and the group brought drums and gongs. "Brother, we're here to thank you for saving my father," the son said, offering the gifts. The Sanshuiwan Village chief patted my shoulder, praising my selfless act. The family was surprised, as I had never mentioned my heroics in the mountains. They invited the guests inside, and their mother took Huang Sui into a private room. The eldest brother and I hosted the men in the main hall. The Huang brothers thanked me profusely, noting their father was out of danger and recovering. "We must head to Huzi's house now, but we'll visit again," they promised. After the guests left, their mother accepted the generous gifts despite her initial hesitation. The event brought great honor to the family, as such public recognition was highly valued in the village. The news of my heroism and the Huang family's expensive gifts would soon be the talk of the village. Their mother, meanwhile, was already eyeing Huang Sui as a potential match for her unmarried sons. Huzi arrived shortly after, having been delayed by the Huang family's hospitality. I confirmed that Huang Shan and Huang Hai had visited my home before Huzi's. I explained I almost couldn't leave due to the commotion, and I'd forgotten to sell the rabbit and badger skins I'd used as a cushion in the cart. I dismissed the oversight. The skins weren't valuable, and they could sell them next time. Huzi noticed Su Dayong joining them. I told him to keep the skins for now. Su Dayong, eager to experience the hunt, asked to borrow a weapon to practice. Huzi handed over his crossbow, admitting he was a poor shot and relied on me. Su Dayong felt slightly embarrassed but accepted the weapon. I urged them to stop hesitating and head into the mountains. Su Dayong asked where they were hunting. I suggested Swan Lake for its abundance of game. The trio set off, with Huzi leading the way with a machete. A machete was essential to clear the dense, thorny mountain brush. Su Dayong watched the rear while I guarded the flanks. Huzi continued to lead, carrying the basket and machete. Huzi warned them to watch for snakes as they moved toward clearer paths. After a rough trek, they finally reached Swan Lake. Exhausted, Huzi and Su Dayong collapsed to rest by the reeds. I, physically enhanced and accustomed to the terrain, remained alert while the others rested, hampered by poor nutrition. I suddenly signaled for silence, alerting the others to something nearby. From the ridge, they had a clear view of the reed marshes below. I spotted prey about 40 to 50 meters down the slope. The others struggled to identify the target due to the distance and brush. I identified it as a blue sheep and told them to stay put. I crept down, knowing the area near the water was prime habitat, though the sheep were notoriously alert. I stopped at 35 meters, fearing that moving closer would expose me. I steadied my breathing and drew my bow. The blue sheep sensed danger and grew restless. I fired, and the arrow struck true. The sound of the arrow piercing the sheep's neck was audible from 30 meters away. The wounded sheep collapsed at the foot of the hill. Huzi and Su Dayong rushed down, impressed by the shot. Huzi retrieved the arrow. The sheep was dying from blood loss. Huzi asked for instructions. I ordered a quick kill to bleed the animal for better meat preservation. Huzi finished the sheep with his knife. Huzi gutted the animal, hanging the organs in a tree as an offering to the mountain spirits. This traditional practice also served to lure predators away from the carcass, allowing hunters to leave safely. I buried a section of the intestine in soil to mask the scent and packed it away. I explained I would use the intestines to feed my green wolf dog. They prepared to leave to avoid predators. Huzi struggled to lift the heavy, 70 to 80-pound, old blue sheep. Su Dayong stepped in. Being tall and strong, Su Dayong easily hoisted the sheep into the large basket. I suggested they hunt wild ducks for soup. Spring was the peak season for ducks, which were fattened from feeding on fish. I instructed the others to stay put to avoid getting lost or stuck in the marshes. Su Dayong watched the lake while I scouted. I preferred to hunt actively. I upgraded my tracking skill to level 4. Stats: Constitution 10, Strength 15, Speed 10. Skills: Fishing LV3, Basic Archery LV9, Tracking LV4. I shot a flying wild duck. I retrieved the duck, bringing my total to 2. I ignored any ducks under 2 pounds. I shot another duck and discovered a nest with 6 eggs. I packed the eggs in my jacket and continued hunting. I spotted a lone swan, an early arrival for the season. It was early February, and the swan had arrived ahead of the main migration. I fired, my level 9 archery ensuring a hit. I secured the 5-pound Swan and pressed on. I continued, though shooting rabbits in the dense reeds proved difficult due to their keen hearing. Even with the wind masking my movement, the rabbits were too alert. Despite the difficulty, I bagged 2 rabbits, 1 pheasant, and 6 ducks. The haul was massive because the isolated Swan Lake was rarely disturbed by humans. Like fish in an untouched lake, the wildlife here lacked the caution of animals in frequently hunted areas. In commercial fishing spots, fish are cunning and hard to catch, especially those previously caught and released. Here, the wildlife is unbothered and lacks vigilance. My superior archery makes them easy targets. Checking the time, I gathered my haul, 2 rabbits, a pheasant, and 6 ducks, and headed back to find Su Dayong and Su Xiaoya. The 2 were stunned by my massive haul and rushed over. 2 hours? Did you raid a store? They joked. I brushed it off, asking if they had just waited around. I hadn't brought them along to avoid drawing attention and to keep noise levels down for my hunting. They hadn't caught much, but they found a nest of wild duck eggs and were struggling to carry them. I saw the pile. They had clearly stumbled upon a nesting ground. You found a nesting ground? Yes, but it was infested with snakes, including a venomous one, so we retreated. We don't know how to carry these back. You did well not to risk it. We can wrap the eggs in our jackets to carry them. The eggs weighed about 10 pounds, a modest haul for 2 hours of work. I only had 6 eggs, but my 6 ducks, each over 2 pounds, were far more impressive. A swan? This early in the season? I explained they might be early arrivals or stragglers. Some swans stay behind if the environment and food supply are sufficient. Let's go. Dayong, you carry the blue sheep. Huzi and I will take the rest. They headed down the mountain. My tracking skills allowed me to navigate the treacherous marshland safely, unlike the others. Huzi and Dayong had to probe the ground with sticks every step of the way. They reached the village at dusk. I went home to distribute the catch, only to find my younger sister crying. She threw herself into my arms, sobbing. After the Huang family left, the news spread. While my parents were out, my grandmother had come and snatched the pig head they had received as a gift. She had shoved my sister to the ground and insulted her before leaving. My sister had been crying for an hour, blaming herself for failing to protect the gift. I comforted her, promising a feast of stewed mutton that night. Su Dayong was sympathetic. His own grandmother didn't dare bully his family because his father was the youngest, but she constantly exploited my family. My family was the easiest target, and they felt powerless to confront an elder. I, however, refused to let it slide and plotted with Dayong. After dividing the catch, I gathered my siblings and headed to the 3rd uncle's house. Su Dayong was already there. The 3rd uncle retreated to his room to avoid the drama. Dayong and I rallied the cousins and marched to the grandmother's house. 6 of them arrived at the grandmother's home. Subin opened the door, demanding to know why they were there. I pushed past him, declaring we were there to spend quality time with our grandparents. They entered the room of their grandfather, Su Butching, a man of few words. The sudden arrival of all the grandchildren confused the elderly couple. Grandmother Zheng Yuegwa demanded to know what they wanted. I feigned filial piety, claiming we wanted to cook the pig head I'd received to show our gratitude to the grandparents. I ordered my cousin to the kitchen, framing it as a duty to avoid being called unfilial. The cousins were skeptical but went along with my plan. Su Sheng agreed to cook while the others kept the grandparents company. Su Butching saw through the ruse immediately. He knew the pig head had been stolen from my family. Su Bin tried to block Su Sheng, claiming the pig head was theirs. I seized the opportunity to start a loud, public argument, drawing the eldest uncle and aunt out. The eldest uncle scolded them for causing a scene. I retorted that we were just trying to be filial and questioned why the eldest uncle was so opposed to my parents eating the gift. The eldest uncle tried to dismiss them, claiming he would handle the cooking. The grandmother complained of a headache, trying to drive them away. I sarcastically asked if her headache was caused by the eldest uncle's influence, noting she seemed fine when she was stealing from us earlier. My performance was sharp and calculated. The grandmother couldn't afford to alienate all her children, so she backed down. Su Butching ordered her to cook, silencing the room. Su Bin foolishly protested. Why should they get to eat it? I pounced on Su Bin's words, launching a scathing verbal attack. Neighbors gathered outside, and I dragged Su Bin into the spotlight, goading him into revealing the truth. The eldest uncle tried to stop me, but I wouldn't let up. I demanded to know if this was how a big brother should act. I accused the eldest uncle's family of leeching off my parents while treating them with contempt. The villagers realized I was calling out the eldest uncle's exploitation of the second family. Soup Witching had to intervene to restore order. Fearing the public scrutiny and my sharp tongue, the grandmother retreated to the kitchen to cook. Soup Witching forced Su Bin to apologize to his brothers. Su Bin realized too late that he had been outmaneuvered by me. The aunt was furious, unable to accept that the second family was eating at their table. I began acting out, claiming my family was starving and being bullied. I joined the fray, turning the scene into a chaotic shouting match. The village chief arrived shortly after, sensing that Soup Witching had lost control of the situation. The chief kicked my backside, forcing me to stand up. Having heard the rumors, the chief knew I was the one orchestrating the trouble. Stop embarrassing yourselves. Go home and get back to work. I can't. I came to enjoy family time with my grandparents on an empty stomach. Leaving now would be an insult to them. The chief was frustrated, especially since he had praised the boy earlier that day. Then go inside, eat, and get out. Understood, chief. I stood up and shouted into the kitchen. Grandma, less salt. And don't be stingy with the meat. Let my brother handle the cooking. My shamelessness drew a crowd, prompting the chief to kick me earlier. Reputation meant nothing to me. Survival during the coming famine was the priority. To prevent my eldest uncle's family from draining them dry, I used filial piety as a cover to force a meal out of them. Shenguer entered the kitchen and promptly chopped the pig head. I insisted the chief stay for dinner, arguing that it was only right to feed the man who mediated our dispute. The aunt couldn't refuse under the chief's watchful eye, and the eldest uncle was forced to remain silent. The chief realized I was using him as a shield, but he didn't mind a free meat meal. When the chief tried to leave, Soup Witching finally spoke up. Stay and eat, Daqiang. Your family. The chief immediately stopped resisting, exchanged a look with me, and went inside. They were a perfect match. I needed a shield, and the chief wanted a feast. Grandmother was heartbroken to see the entire pig head and extra flour being consumed. With the chief present, she had to suppress her anger and play the gracious host. The chief felt conflicted. He didn't want to get involved, but I had recently brought honor to the village, and he felt obligated to oversee the situation. Chief, sit. Eldest uncle, fetch some wine. We can't have meat without it. It wouldn't be proper, just like when your brother-in-law visits. Cough, cough. The chief glared at me, warning me not to stir up too much trouble. The eldest uncle's face turned pale, but he couldn't refuse. Fine. Su Bin, go to Old Man Li's and get some wine. The eldest uncle reluctantly handed over a yuan. No need, Fugue. Don't listen to the boy. We're all family. The aunt interjected. Su Fugue ignored her. He knew better than to call Su Bin back now. He glared at me, and I just smiled back. Shenguer finished cooking. Grandmother watched in agony as dozens of buns were served. I brought my younger sister over and served my grandparents first. Grandma, you had a headache earlier. It might be high blood pressure. Eat less meat and drink some soup. I then served meat to my grandfather, Su Xiaotong, and my younger sister. By serving the elders and the children first, I prevented anyone from complaining. When Su Yuqing reached for food, I smacked his hand away. Have some manners. The chief hasn't started yet. The chief looked at me with teary, resentful eyes, begging me to stop using him to settle scores. I chuckled, and Su Fugue was forced to scold his own son to save face. It's fine, they're just children, the chief said with a forced smile. The chief thought to himself that I was too manipulative to ever be trusted with power. The chief finally picked up his chopsticks, and the meal began. I signaled Su Jin to start eating, leaving Su Fugue no room to complain. Soup Witching watched, impressed by his nephew's tactical mind. Chief, I toast you for upholding justice today. The chief drank, silently vowing never to eat at my house again. My words were clearly aimed at the eldest uncle. The others, like Shenguer and Dayong, ate honestly, unaware of the tension. I continued to drop barbed comments, making the eldest uncle seethe. The eldest uncle had to keep smiling, knowing the chief's authority was not to be trifled with. I heard you went hunting. Any luck? I knew it was a trap. Yes, but I can't eat it. I need to trade it at the commune to help my brother find a virtuous wife. Enough, enough. Let's drink. The chief cut him off, realizing I was about to insult the aunt's character. The chief wanted to avoid the topic, fearing the grandmother would demand the game if she knew about it. I had effectively blocked that path by framing the meat as essential for my brother's marriage. After the meal, I insisted on escorting the chief out, leaving the eldest uncle fuming. Once the chief left, Dayong laughed. Suyu, I never knew you were so cunning. I chuckled, but Shenguer interrupted. What's so good about it? You caused a scene and dragged Dayong and Xiaotong into it. If I'd known you'd offend the eldest uncle's family, I wouldn't have let you involve others. Shenguer didn't want to implicate their third uncle, but without Dayong and Xiaotong, he knew he couldn't have handled the situation alone. Don't blame him, Shenguer. We aren't outsiders. Grandmother is biased and grandfather ignores everything. We all know how they are. I think I was right and handled it well. Sai, don't praise me. I've sold you out, and you're still counting the money for me. Shenguer wasn't truly angry. He actually felt satisfied. He just worried that his younger brother's sudden change in temperament would cause irreconcilable conflict with their grandfather, making things harder for their father. Enough. Let's go home. Dayong, go call Huzi so we can split the goods. It's quite late. Shall we split them tomorrow? I agreed. The duck eggs and ducks were already divided, so the rest could wait. They parted ways. I carried my younger sister, Su Jin ran ahead, and Shenguer walked beside me as we headed home. Don't be so aggressive in the future. I barely recognized you. If word gets out that you're a loudmouthed shrew, you'll never find a wife. I realized my brother was only worried about my marriage prospects. I appreciated that my brother truly had my best interests at heart. I understand. Let's get home. We need to prep the blue sheep meat for sale tomorrow. Back home, their parents were eating the braised duck I had prepared for them before leaving. My own portion was ready. My father had already cleaned the blue sheep. You're back? Have you eaten? If not, I'll have your mother warm some food. Su's father didn't ask about the confrontation at the grandfather's house, choosing to focus on his son's well-being. We ate, Dad. Braised pork head with cabbage. It was delicious, Su Jin chirped. The younger sister was fast asleep in my arms. I put my sister to bed and covered her before returning to the yard. Brother, prep the innards. I'll boil the heart and liver, and I'll clean the intestines for Heizi's dinner. Shenguter took the heart and liver to the kitchen, while I cleaned the intestines, chopped them with an axe, and boiled them in a metal basin over an open fire for the dog. Since this couldn't be done in the kitchen, I cooked it outdoors, letting the broth cool before feeding the dog. My haul included 2 rabbits, a pheasant, 6 ducks, a swan, and 6 eggs. Dayong had 2 ducks and 10 eggs. They each kept 1 duck, leaving me with 5. I needed to sell the rest to settle the split of the 10 duck eggs. Dayong had refused his share of the money, but I insisted on compensating him, even if it meant buying him a gift later. I was left with 5 ducks, a pheasant, 2 rabbits, and a 5-pound swan. The brothers finished their work. Shenguer finished the braised organs, and I finished the dog's meal. I mixed the hot intestines with bran to cool it down. It was ready for Heizi to eat shortly after. Heizi devoured the meal, which I had salted to make it more palatable. Salt was precious, but hunting dogs were valuable assets, so I deemed it a worthy investment. Done. Go to sleep. You have to head to the county early tomorrow. Shenguer went inside. Seeing my success as a hunter, the family no longer pressured me to work the fields. Being a hunter was acceptable as long as they were cautious. The next morning, Su Jing climbed onto the bed, waking me up. I tickled her, making her giggle. Huzi arrived, watching them play. I reluctantly got up. Why so early? We aren't rushing a market. Did you eat? Huzi grinned. I ate. That duck last night was amazing. Su Jing, the last to wake, stayed in bed. Stop making me hungry. Help me get some water so I can wash up. I kicked Su Jing. Get up. I'm leaving. You need to watch our younger sister. Su Jing grumbled internally, feeling that I was just taking my frustration out on him. He didn't dare complain aloud, knowing my temper. He dressed, muttering under his breath. Huzi fetched cold water, and I washed up, reminding Su Jing to look after our sister. They were used to skipping breakfast or eating whenever they were hungry. I skipped breakfast and hurried to pack the game. I chopped the blue sheep's neck. Why the neck, brother? Huzi asked. Promised my sister some mutton. It's 3 pounds of meat and bone. We have to bring the head too, so they know what kind of meat it is. They packed the meat, skin, and head into a fertilizer bag and tied it to Huzi's bicycle. They added the rabbits, ducks, swan, and pheasant to the load. You get on. I'll ride. The bike is too heavy for you. I, feeling strong, pedaled while Huzi sat on the back, cushioned by animal skins. They set off for the county town. The wait was nothing to me, as I felt energized despite skipping breakfast. Here we are, the state-run restaurant. Inside, I offered the waiter a Qianmin cigarette. Brotherly, is Manager Fan in? We've brought more game. The waiter, pleased with the cigarette, went to check. Huzi brought the heavy bag inside. I had waited to ensure the coast was clear to avoid bringing the bloody, smelly bag into a busy dining room. With the manager present and the restaurant empty, they brought the goods in. Manager Fan and Master Lu, the chef, walked out. Brother Fan, I've brought a blue sheep and a 5-pound swan. I only came this far because you offer a fair price. Intrigued by the blue sheep, Manager Fan watched as I unpacked the meat. I unloaded the blue sheep, its head and hide, alongside 5 wild ducks, 1 swan, 2 rabbits, and a pheasant. The sheer volume of game left Manager Fan stunned. Didn't you just return yesterday? Don't tell me you hunted all this just yesterday afternoon. I touched the sheep's head, smearing a drop of fresh blood on my finger. Brother Fan, you're the expert here. I don't need to explain, do I? I knew that people only trust what they see for themselves. By deferring to Fan's expertise, I subtly pressured the manager to accept the freshness of the kill. The tactic, while slightly manipulative, proved effective. Ha ha ha, you're quite something. You went into the mountains that same afternoon and bagged all this. Despite his amusement, Fan remained professional. He had Master Lu inspect the goods. He wouldn't let flattery cloud his judgment. Manager, it's all good. These were slaughtered last night, very fresh. Lu confirmed the quality immediately. He knew better than to question the manager's lead, but he performed a thorough check to maintain professional standards. Satisfied, Fan ordered the kitchen scale to be brought out. It was clear they hadn't bothered with the scale last time because the haul was too small. After dressing, the blue sheep weighed 65 pounds, less than my initial 80-pound estimate. Fan didn't bother weighing the birds, pricing the ducks at 2 to 3 yuan each and the swan at 20. Swans were rare. Few hunters ever encountered them during migration, and even fewer could deliver them fresh. I noted that without a fair price, I would have just sold to the local commune. The birds totaled 35 yuan, while the blue sheep meat fetched 1.5 yuan per pound. Blue sheep meat was highly valued by older officials for its health benefits and lack of the gamey odor found in wild boar. The sheep meat brought in 97.5 yuan, which Fan rounded up to 98. Combined with the birds, the total was 133 yuan. With 133 yuan in hand, I wouldn't have to settle for wild vegetable porridge anymore. Brother Su, can you get your hands on a soft-shelled turtle? I'll pay a high price. While other state-run restaurants only paid market rates, Fan was different. I recognized Fan's slick, ambitious nature from our first meeting. He was a man who knew how to network with anyone, regardless of status. Fan's friendliness was a calculated move to secure resources for his own advancement. I realized Fan was likely sourcing the turtle for an ailing superior, intending to pay out of his own pocket to curry favor. Turtles are hard to find, especially large, wild ones. They're worth a fortune to those who know, but just meat to others. There's a pond in our village, but it's tricky. It requires diving. If the price is right, I'll risk it. If not, I won't bother. Fan understood the ultimatum. If the price was high enough, a turtle would appear. If not, it wouldn't. If the incentive was sufficient, I would find one regardless of the difficulty. It was a risky gamble, but I knew Fan's prices were the best in the county. I understood that our friendship was purely transactional. Fan needed my goods, and I needed Fan's money. I knew business required risk and capital. I would be a fool not to negotiate. Fan was surprised by the young man's boldness, recalling how he once would have done anything to climb the social ladder. He knew, however, that you couldn't force a connection with someone who had already outpaced you. Don't worry, little brother. I'm not one to take advantage. But be quick. Favors are best done early. Fan's response confirmed he was buying the turtle for a superior and that he knew I was intentionally driving up the price. While smart people respect a good deal, they despise greed. Haha, of course. If you need it, I'll do my best. After the exchange, I declined Fan's offer of breakfast. I joked about the absurdity of a manager offering breakfast, ignoring Huzi's reminder that I had done the same last time. They went to the usual stall, ordering 4 buns, 2 bowls of tofu pudding, and fried dough sticks. I gave Huzi 44 yuan, 1/3 of our earnings, telling him to buy something for his family and keep it quiet. I kept my word regarding the split. Huzi hesitated, suggesting they should also include Shenggur, following their rule of splitting the 3rd share among the others. I dismissed the idea, saying I would buy something for Shenggur myself, as my cousin wouldn't accept the cash. Huzi agreed. As a close cousin, Shenggur wouldn't take money for helping out. Then don't pay me. Count it as mine, or the village will say I don't know the rules. Huzi knew his relationship with me wasn't as close as the blood bond between the cousins. He didn't want to overstep or seem like he was taking advantage of the situation. Seeing Huzi's insistence, I accepted the arrangement to avoid damaging our friendship. After breakfast, I was left with 88 yuan. Let's go to the commune and sell the skins. They rode to the commune to find 5th Master, bringing the rabbit, badger, and blue sheep skins. The blue sheep skin was large and pristine, as I had shot it through the neck. 5th Master offered 12 yuan for the lot, which I accepted without hesitation. I didn't know if the price was perfect, but it was fair. I gave Huzi his 4.3 yuan share, leaving me with 97.7 yuan, a massive sum, equivalent to 5 months of my father's wages. They visited the supply cooperative, where Huzi bought a gift for Shenggur. He spent over 20 yuan on a full, green mouse suit. I wanted to buy something for my brother, Shenggur, but I was saving every cent to eventually buy a gun. Let's explore the county town. Brother, are you getting cocky with money? Why not go home? I slapped Huzi on the back of the head. What nonsense. Now that we have money, shouldn't we buy grain for the family? Do you want them to starve? Used to their banter, Huzi grinned. I get it, but we don't have grain coupons. I know we don't, but others do. I plan to visit the state-run restaurant that evening to eat and ask Manager Fan about trading for grain coupons. While grain coupons are allocated, some people can acquire extras, or at least point them toward the black market. Huzi was my loyal sidekick, having followed me into the dangerous mountains despite my lack of hunting experience. They had been inseparable since childhood. Brother, look, is that educated youth Su? Following Huzi's gaze, they saw Su Jiqing and another female youth being blocked by 3 thugs near the park lake. I sighed. It was a cliché situation. I didn't want to play the hero, but Su Jiqing had already spotted us. Leaving now would be inappropriate. As a fellow villager, ignoring them would lead to criticism from the village head. Su Jiqing, named Su Xiaoya, was 21, a high school top student sent to support rural development when universities closed. In 7 years, she would likely return home via the Gaokao. With my future knowledge, I knew they had no future. Many male youths in love had to abandon their partners once they could return home. The song Xiao Fang captured this era's heartbreak perfectly. Homesickness often forced lovers apart, turning these relationships into bittersweet, pure memories of a bygone time. Such love, forged in hardship without material gain, was deeply poignant, like a girl secretly gifting a boiled egg, leaving scars that lasted a lifetime. I wasn't desperate for a wife, and despite Su Xiaoya's elegance, I saw no point in pursuing a doomed romance. Let's go take a look. I had to intervene to prevent any real trouble. I approached and tapped a thug on the shoulder. Su Xiaoya and her friend hid behind Huzi, who gripped a brick. The 3 thugs turned, surprised by my calm, fearless smile. What's it to you? Let go, stop meddling. I shoved the man. Meddling? They're with us. Do you want to be reported for hooliganism? In this conservative era, the hooliganism charge was a catch-all basket crime that could lead to severe punishment. We were just saying hello to the beauty. Can't a gentleman pursue a lady? I thought. Great, a thug who thinks he's a scholar. Pursue your head. She's my partner. Get lost, or you'll regret it. I relied on my imposing, muscular frame to bluff, as I lacked refined fighting skills. Fine, kid, just you wait, the thugs threatened before retreating. They realized they were outmatched by my raw strength and the fact that they were outnumbered. Thank you both. We would have been in trouble without you. Su Xiaoya and her friend expressed their gratitude, relieved to have escaped the thugs. I asked why they were in town. Just to buy things and mail letters, Xiaoya replied. I asked if they were heading back. Yes, it's too dangerous out here, she said, looking down. I thought it was foolish for two women to wander alone during the workday when only thugs were about. Since you're heading back, please tell our parents we're staying in town a bit longer so they don't worry. This saved me from a scolding. I offered to escort them part of the way to ensure their safety. They agreed, happy for the protection. They caught a ride on a neighbor's ox cart, and I and Huzi returned to town. Xiaoya wasn't Suyu manly. She's my partner, so bold, her friend Fong teased. Xiaoya blushed at the imitation. Don't be silly, Fong. He just said that to scare them off. Sure, but everyone says he got beaten up by Lai San last time because of you. The girls discussed how the village knew about my past injury, though Xiaoya had avoided visiting me to prevent rumors. My intervention today made her feel self-conscious. Many village boys liked her, but she never intended to lead them on. She simply wanted a soulmate, someone she could talk to. She valued shared perspectives over wealth, wanting someone who understood her thoughts. In the small village of Sanshuiwan, her high school education made her feel isolated, as she couldn't relate to the locals. Brother Fan, I'm looking for the black market to trade for supplies. Do you know where it is? After parting with the girls, I and Huzi ate at the restaurant, where I asked Manager Fan for help. The black market? Let me ask around. Manager Fan hadn't been, but he knew how to find out. The state knew the black market existed, as everyone else did. Public security only conducted periodic raids. Once the heat died down, the market resumed. Officials avoided the market to protect their jobs, while ordinary people risked imprisonment or thought education. Since the authorities focused on education, those caught were often just desperate, impoverished people. I've got the address for you. Why are you heading to the black market? Is there trouble? Do you need my help? I'm desperate. My family is starving, and I have no grain coupons to buy food. Manager Fan eyed me, thinking, you look sturdy and well-fed. You're clearly lying to me. Being a cunning and smooth talker, Fan kept his skepticism to himself. If you aren't in a rush, I can scrape some coupons together for you. Avoid the black market if you can. It's a chaotic, dangerous place. I agreed. 10 minutes later, Fan returned with a handful of coupons. Here, I managed to get 8 caddies of fine grain and 20 of coarse. Is that enough? Thank you, Brother Fan. You've saved my life. Let me pay you the market price. I can't let you cover the cost. They exchanged polite refusals. I insisted on paying to maintain my leverage for future trades involving the soft-shelled turtle. I eventually paid 5 yuan for the coupons. While the official price of grain is low, I factored in the cost of the dumplings and wontons I'd bought earlier to ensure Fan would accept the money. Condensed into 12.87. Outside the restaurant, Huzi asked, Brother you, are we still going to the black market? Of course. My family is set, but what about yours? Don't you want to add more cornmeal to your flatbreads? Huzi nodded. The black market operates after dark, distinct from the dawn-based ghost and pigeon markets. While ghost markets handle stolen goods and pigeon markets are for daily necessities, the black market is a hub for gold, weapons, antiques, and scarce supplies. Most people prefer the pigeon market because the black market is run by powerful, well-connected gangs. Waiting for nightfall, I lit a de Qianmen cigarette. Huzi declined. I smoked, indifferent to my habit. Once dark, I said, let's find some weapons for protection. Entering the black market requires caution. Being young and carrying cash makes us targets. Condensed into 12.97, we fashioned 2 sturdy wooden clubs from tree branches and tucked them into our waistbands. Put on your hat and scarf. We covered our faces thoroughly to remain anonymous. Huzi, push the bike closely behind me. Don't lose it. Don't worry, I've got it. We walked toward the black market entrance, having waited nearby since receiving the address from Fan. At the entrance, thugs with machetes blocked us. I stopped Huzi from drawing his club and paid the 2 mao entry fee. They aren't robbers, I whispered. They're the market managers collecting fees to maintain order. Huzi nodded, finally understanding. Why is there no merchandise on display? Huzi asked. I noticed subtle markers, like a wheat stalk, indicating sellers who could flee quickly during a raid. Condensed into 1308. Let's check over there. We approached a man with a corn cob, signaling coarse grain. Price: 1 mao per caddy, no coupons needed. It was a markup, but standard for the black market. How much do you have? I asked. I need 60 caddies. Condensed into 1314, I have 80. You want it? Yes, go get it. The man returned with an accomplice and the grain. I inspected the quality. It's consistent throughout, the man promised. I'm no cheat. I paid 8 yuan and had them loaded onto the bike. Condensed into 1320, we left immediately. Time to go. At the exit, we were intercepted. Are we being targeted? I wondered if 8 yuan was worth a robbery, but the threat was real. 5 masked men with steel pipes blocked our path. Huzi and I drew our clubs, tense. I knew I had to fight my way out. We followed the rules. What's the problem? Scared? You were arrogant earlier today. It's those 3 thugs from earlier, Huzi realized. Condensed into 1331. Hold one off. I'll handle the rest. I relied on my system-enhanced strength, which was double that of the average teenager. I knew I might get hurt, but I was determined to win. Get out of the way, or else. You're still acting tough? I kicked up a cloud of dust into their faces. I lunged forward, striking the first man's head. The club shattered, and the man collapsed instantly. I kicked another, grabbed a dropped steel pipe, and rolled to dodge an attack. Dirty move. All's fair in a fight. With my superior strength, I incapacitated 2 more, leaving the others reeling. I kicked my opponent squarely in the chest, leaving him unable to rise. Huzi blocked another attacker, taking a blow to his arm to land a heavy strike on the man's shoulder, forcing him to drop his steel pipe. 2 attackers remained. Fearing reinforcements or firearms in the lawless black market, I decided to act quickly. I charged. The 2 men, now cautious, tried to flank me, but my speed proved superior. I ignored one man to focus on the other, then suddenly pivoted to strike the second man's leg with my pipe, sending him howling to the ground. Distracted, I took a solid steel pipe strike to my lower back. Had my body not been strengthened, my spine would have shattered. Thanks to my tense, muscular physique, I endured the pain without sustaining a spinal fracture. Ignoring the agony, I hurled my pipe, striking the attacker's head and knocking him unconscious. Only the injured youth remained, still facing off against Huzi. I stood up, leaning on a pipe, my movement hampered but my resolve intact. The commotion finally drew the black market security personnel. Bystanders watched, unwilling to intervene in the black market's dangerous territory. Brother, you go? I'll hold them off, Huzi urged. Moved by my willingness to fight despite my injury, Huzi stepped forward to shield me. I stopped him, warning him that the guards were armed with shotguns. A guard approached, demanding to know who was causing trouble on their turf. I noticed the guard recognized the man currently facing Huzi. Xiaoya, why aren't you on patrol? The guard asked. I quickly explained that the market's own men had ambushed them, violating the rules of the black market. I argued that even in the underworld, professional conduct was expected. Personal vendettas shouldn't interfere with business. The leader, nicknamed Fox, demanded the truth from Xiaoya, threatening him if he lied. Xiaoya stammered and confessed to the entire incident. Fox was known for his cunning nature. I understand now. Our men were wrong. You are free to go, Fox declared. Fox knew that if word spread that customers were being targeted, the black market's business would collapse. He refused to let his subordinates' stupidity jeopardize Lu Ye's profits. We were beaten for nothing, and you just want us to leave? I challenged. The crowd gasped at my audacity, fearing I would provoke the armed guards. I knew that if I left now, they might seek revenge later. I refused to leave like a coward, betting they wouldn't dare shoot in public. A guard threatened me, but Fox held him back, intrigued by my stubbornness. What do you want? Fox asked. Compensation for medical expenses, I replied. Fox realized I was reasonable enough not to demand an impossible sum, but firm enough to require a face-saving gesture. Fox agreed to negotiate to avoid further public escalation. I asked for 50 yuan. Fox scoffed, calling it unreasonable for minor injuries. Fox countered that the injuries were merely muscle strains, not broken bones. I'll make them pay you 30 yuan. Let's call it even, Fox proposed. Agreed. I accepted, wanting to recoup my losses from the day's business. I knew the black market operators prioritized peace to avoid police raids. They wouldn't risk a murder over a small dispute. Fox collected 12 yuan from the attackers and covered the remaining 18 himself. We're even now, Fox warned. I nodded. I took the money, helped Huzi onto the bike, and rode away. Are you okay, brother you? I can ride, Huzi offered. I'm fine, just a strain. Let's get to the hospital to be safe. Huzi agreed, needing to check his own injured arm. They arrived at the county hospital for an emergency checkup. The doctor examined them, noting no broken bones, and prescribed safflower oil for their muscle strains. I asked for an x-ray just to be sure. The doctor insisted it was unnecessary, as there were no signs of fractures. Huzi accepted a splint, and they thanked the doctor before heading home. Huzi grumbled about their bad luck, but I was focused on my system. I checked my stats. Constitution 10, Strength 15, Speed 10. Skills: Fishing, LV3, Basic Archery, LV9, Tracking, LV4, Combat Fighting, LV1. Skill points: 0. I realized my combat skills had leveled up during the fight, explaining my heightened instincts. Brother you, are you listening? Yes. Tell your father the truth when we get back so he doesn't blame me, I said. Understood. Back in the village, I returned the bike and gave Huzi his share of the grain. Take this and your supplies. I'm heading home before your dad catches me, I said. I entered my home, exhausted, and handed my brother, Su Sheng, the goods before retreating to my room. Did Su Jiqing come by? I asked. Su Sheng questioned why I was with Su Jiqing, teasing me about my secret activities. I dismissed my brother's lack of academic success, telling him to go to sleep and stop bothering me. I went to bed, waking Su Jin, who noticed the goods I had brought back and immediately became alert. The eldest and fourth brothers began inspecting the haul. They found 40 caddies of cornmeal, 6 pairs of shoes for the family, and some candied fruit. They identified the rest as pastries and fried dough twists. As the brothers sorted the items, I fell asleep. Mother Su, having heard the commotion, arrived shortly after. Mother Su caught the brothers snacking on the twists and scolded them, demanding they hand everything over. She sent the cornmeal to the kitchen and locked the rest in a chest. She told them to stop making noise since I was snoring, though the fourth brother noted I always snored. She shooed the fourth brother off to bed. The next morning, I woke up early, triggered by sharp pain in my waist. I had the fourth brother bring wash water and apply safflower oil to my back, warning him to keep the injury a secret. Su Jin massaged the oil into my back. Su Jin noticed a bruise and guessed it was from a club. Realizing I was hiding something, he deduced the truth. I claimed they were ambushed by 5 thugs while helping the educated youth, insisting I had fought them off. The fourth brother didn't buy the heroic narrative but understood it was a rescue mission. I snapped at him to be gentle. During breakfast, my father questioned the source of the cornmeal. I admitted to selling blue sheep meat at the black market. His father warned me against the black market, fearing for my future. I promised to avoid it when possible. His father, aware of his own inability to provide, didn't press further. He knew the family's financial struggles were his own failure. He asked if Huzi had been compensated for his help. I assured him I wouldn't let my childhood friend suffer. After breakfast, I returned to bed to recover. Huzi's account of the event was similar but focused on their misfortune. He claimed they were innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire while helping the female educated youth. Huzi's mother scolded him for being a fool, claiming Suyu acted for romance while Huzi just suffered. Huzi's father defended his son's actions, noting it was right to help, and had Li Yukai check Huzi's arm. They confirmed no bones were broken and he just needed rest. Huzi's father told his wife that ignoring the girls would have ruined their reputation in the village. He praised Suyu for providing medicine and the cornmeal, noting Huzi couldn't have earned that much himself. The family atmosphere remained harmonious despite the bickering. However, the news spread quickly after work began. Villagers questioned Su Xiaoya about Suyu's injuries. The female educated youth gossiped in the fields. They pieced together that the thugs had tracked and ambushed the pair. Neither family mentioned the black market, and my mother only learned of my injury from others. She hadn't worried earlier, as her eldest son was often in fights. The story gained traction after a villager visited Li Yukai. It was confirmed that Su Yu and Huzi had indeed helped the girls. The rumors grew exaggerated, claiming Huzi's arm was broken and Su Yu was severely injured. Su Xiaoya became the target of gossip, with older women teasing her about her charms. A friend suggested they visit Su Yu and Huzi to show gratitude. Su felt obligated to go, unlike the previous incident with Lai Tu San. She hesitated. Su was introverted and disliked the attention, but felt guilty about their injuries. Her friend encouraged her, framing it as a simple visit between friends. Su agreed, realizing it would be heartless not to go. At noon, they arrived at my home. My mother had already inspected my bruises. Seeing it wasn't serious, she accepted the situation with the stoicism typical of the era. She greeted the girls at the door. She was surprised by their gift. They brought dried purslane for dumplings. In those days, people brought whatever simple food they had when visiting. Mother Su welcomed them warmly. She treated them with kindness, shedding her usual stern demeanor. The girls apologized for the trouble they caused and offered help. They were led to my room. My status: age 19, physique 10, strength 15, speed 10. Skills: fishing LV3, basic archery LV9, tracking LV4, combat fighting LV1, dog training LV1. Bored while recovering, I trained Heizi in basic commands. The dog learned quickly, and my skill level increased. Within a day, Heizi mastered commands like sit, stay, and tracking hidden items. They spent the day playing hide and seek, effectively leveling up the dog training skill. Su Xiaoya visited me and Huzi, maintaining a polite distance to avoid misunderstandings. I remained indifferent. I treated her visits as mere social formalities. I visited Huzi, who was energetic despite a painful, bruised arm. "Brother, you going to the mountains?" I teased, just checking if you were dead. Huzi chuckled, dismissing the pain as minor bruising that would heal soon. I invited him to Deep Pool Lake. Huzi, despite his injury, was eager to tag along. Huzi questioned if I was hunting a soft-shelled turtle for Manager Fan, noting my own back injury. I waved off concerns about my health, and Huzi went to get ready. Bored at home, Huzi was happy to join, provided he stayed out of the water. I led Huzi to the downstream area, planning to catch loaches for bait. Huzi was skeptical about their culinary value. I explained that loaches were bait for the soft-shelled turtle, not food. I dug up loaches from the mud. Since locals didn't eat them, they were abundant and had few predators. They resumed their journey. They reached a deep, 10-meter-high underground river pool. Huzi doubted a soft-shelled turtle would be in such deep water. I promised that specific types of turtles were easier to catch here. I rigged a bamboo pole with cut-up loach bait and cast it into the pool. They sat by the water, smoking and chatting, hoping for a catch. Huzi doubted they would catch anything that day. I planned to dive for it tomorrow once I recovered, treating today as a trial. Huzi warned that diving in such deep water was life-threatening. I smiled, relying on my system to handle the risks. A strong tug hit the line. I sighed as the water churned. It was clearly a fish, not a turtle. They hauled up a massive 20-pound black carp. The struggle nearly snapped the bamboo pole. Without a net, they risked losing the fish if they tried to hoist it by the line. I had Huzi hold the pole while I improvised. I returned with a sharpened branch to use as a spear. I speared the fish, gaining 3 skill points. I rebaited the hook, wondering why locals ignored such a bounty. I explained that the danger of predators like tigers or wolves kept villagers away. Huzi panicked, but I remained calm. I brandished my spear, confident I could defend against anything but a large beast. Huzi urged me to take the threat seriously. I reassured him that they were on high ground and I was prepared to fight. Huzi calmed down, trusting my combat skills. A second bite yielded an 8-pound soft-shelled turtle. Mission accomplished. It was a stroke of luck. The bait had barely been in the water. They quickly packed up and snuck back to my home to avoid attention. I offered to split the fish with Huzi. Huzi accepted, and I soon brought over a basin of prepared fish. I suggested stewing it with tofu for a delicious meal. Huzi went to buy tofu while I prepared the fish. They cooked the fish and tofu together, letting it simmer. The resulting milky, fragrant broth was a local delicacy. My younger sister arrived, drawn by the smell. She was eager to eat. I told her to wait patiently. His family returned, and I assured them I was fine and hadn't entered the water. After a satisfying meal, I rested. I checked my archery skill, currently at level 9, but lacked the points to upgrade further. The next morning, I prepared to deliver the turtle to Manager Fan, only to find Su Xiaoya waiting. She stood by my door, looking hesitant. I asked why she was there. I felt impatient. I saw no reason to play the gentleman for someone else's romantic interest. I bluntly asked her to state her business. Su Xiaoya nervously asked if I had money. I was suspicious, Borrowing money in the village was highly unusual. I asked if there was a family emergency. I considered that she might be sending money home for a sick relative. She mentioned Lai Tu-san, and I immediately sensed a trap. She explained that Lai Tu-san had handed her a package, which was later damaged by a group of children. She discovered a broken radio inside the damaged package. Lai Tu-san was now demanding 70 or 80 yuan for the new radio. I realized it was a calculated extortion scheme targeting her. Lai Tu-san had exploited her introversion to force the package on her without explanation. For anyone else, denying the radio was in the bag would suffice. But for the naive Xiaoya, admitting she broke a 70 to 80 yuan item is the key to the trap's success. Why did you think to borrow money from me? I am no pushover. I have no romantic interest in Xiaoya and won't play the hero for no reason. I asked the village chief for help. He suggested I stall. Lai Tu-san claims he needs the money to buy a radio for his marriage proposal. Cough. Did the village chief tell you I had money? Xiaoya's mention of the village chief confirms my suspicions about the source of her information. I often borrow bicycles to go to the county town and return with supplies. I have hinted to the village chief that I earn money from hunting. While I never disclose the exact amount, the village chief is shrewd enough to estimate my earnings based on my frequent trips. Follow me. We need to talk. I lead a nervous Xiaoya into my home. She fears I might have ulterior motives. I ignore her apprehension, waiting for her to enter so I can break down the reality of her situation. The radio motherboard is broken, isn't it? Xiaoya nods, finally beginning to realize the situation's complexity. Think about it. Lai Tu-san is a hoodlum. How could he afford a 70 to 80 yuan radio? Even if he borrowed the money, what girl would demand a radio for a marriage proposal? Doesn't this whole thing reek of a setup? Too innocent to have considered this. Xiaoya finally senses the deception. Are you saying Lai Tu-san set a trap for me? But the invoice is real, and the radio was new. What is he after? I think to myself that the target is obviously her physical beauty, which is quite apparent even in these lean times. Seeing my gaze, Xiaoya covers her chest and glares, finally understanding my implication. I want her. She shivers, realizing how truly malicious people can be. Wait for it. Lai Tu-san is just a pawn. Someone behind him will soon offer to pay for the radio. They'll claim the money was for their own marriage, then suggest you marry them instead to settle the debt. It's a classic savior manipulation. Let's make a bet. Who is the mastermind? I pick Su Bin. What do you think? I suspect Su Bin, who has the financial backing of his doting father and a history of impulsive, clever schemes. Su Bin is arrogant but ambitious and calculated. Su Bin, we barely speak. You think he's the one setting this up? Don't look at me like that. I don't need to frame him. Just wait. He'll appear soon, coincidentally learning of your trouble. Now that I've explained it, do you still want to borrow money to pay Lai Tu-san? Xiaoya hesitates. I appreciate the analysis, but the radio is broken and I admitted it. If I don't pay, what will people think of me? I look at her strangely. You don't believe me? It's clear she doubts me. Unable to fathom someone spending 80 yuan, enough to marry 7 wives, just to frame her. No, it's just, can you still lend me the money? I am exasperated. She still just wants the loan. Does she think I'm only warning her because I'm jealous of Su Bin? It is a dead end. Because she confessed in public, she is legally cornered without proof of the setup. Even if she went to the public security, Lai Tu-san would just bribe others to lie for him. Legal awareness is low, and their story would hold up. Lai Tu-san will find someone to claim they lent him the money, making the extortion appear legitimate. Xiaoya remains skeptical, viewing my theory about Su Bin as a biased, irrational grudge. I realize she thinks I'm just another man competing for her, misinterpreting my warning as petty jealousy. I find it laughable. No wonder Su Bin chose such a low-effort scheme. She is truly naive. If you don't trust me, why come here? And even if I had the money, why should I lend it to you? What collateral do you have? Xiaoya takes my bluntness as a demand for sexual favors, feeling betrayed. I thought you were different, but you're just like the rest. You're no better than Lai Tu-san, trying to force me into marriage. She huffs and storms out. Xiaoya suspects I might be the true mastermind, using this story to force her into a position where I am her only option. She believes I want to frame Su Bin to eliminate my rival and make myself the only savior left. She views me as just as shameless as the person who set the trap. She considers me equally despicable. She forgets that my question about collateral was practical, not predatory. The original me might have liked her, but the current one is a realist. I am frustrated. I have my own life to manage and no desire to get dragged into her mess. I would have helped her despite Su Bin, but only if she trusted me. Since she prefers to believe I am the villain, I won't bother. Whatever. She's not my wife. I put the soft-shelled turtle into a sack and head out. I need to be careful. If I carry the bucket to borrow the bike, the village chief will start guessing my profits again. I ignored the village affairs, borrowed a bicycle from the village head, and rode to the county town. Upon arrival, I entered the state-run restaurant with a sack and requested to see Manager Fan. My brother, you're finally here? I thought you'd broken your word. Manager Fan greeted me. Haha, sorry to keep you waiting, Brother Fan. I lowered my voice, claiming I had saved 2 girls from thugs at the park, only to encounter the same gang later at the black market address Fan provided, resulting in a fight and injuries. I lifted my shirt to reveal striking bruises and welts from clubs and pipes on my back. I didn't want to fail you, so I pushed through the pain, dove 10 meters deep, and finally caught this, delivering it immediately without even resting. I produced an 8-pound soft-shelled turtle. I knew Master Lu would verify its quality, so I felt confident. Manager Fan recalled Suyu selling game meat earlier and realized the timing aligned with his own knowledge of the local black market thugs. Could it really be such a coincidence? Yet, the injuries were undeniable proof of my dedication and the risk I took. Though a shrewd man, Fan suspected I was playing for a higher price, but the physical evidence made the story plausible enough to believe. Given the scale of the transaction, it was unlikely to be a calculated ruse. Regardless of the motive, my commitment to the deal was genuine. Impressed by this professional integrity, Fan feigned deep concern. My brother, I had no idea. I wouldn't have rushed you if I knew you were in danger. I feel terrible. You're too reckless. A turtle isn't worth your safety. I internally mocked the performance, finding the fatty's acting skills impressive, even if the sentiment was likely exaggerated. I appreciate that, but I'm just trying to save enough for a rifle to hunt larger game. A noble goal. How much are you short? Fan asked. I was aiming for a Type 56 semi-automatic, but that's too expensive. I'll settle for a Mauser rifle, but I'm still 400 short. Fan realized I only had 100 Yuan to my name. A decent Mauser cost around 500, while older ones went for 300. My bluntness about my finances made Fan wary of being pressured into a loan. Let's focus on the turtle first, Fan said, steering the conversation away from money. Fan feared being asked for a loan. He couldn't afford to look stingy after acting so brotherly in front of his staff. He decided to pay a premium to settle the matter and maintain his reputation. Truth be told, I'm buying this personally, not for the restaurant. This implied he couldn't use public funds to overpay. He had to be careful. Excessive spending could lead to accusations of corruption. I understand, Brother Fan. I trust your price, I replied. Fan cursed internally. The boy was a little fox. If he offered a standard price, he'd look heartless. He had to offer a generous price to save face. Master Lu, come take a look at this. He needed to justify a high price to keep me happy. Master Lu approached immediately. This is a 10-year-old deep-water turtle, manager. Excellent nutritional value, Lu confirmed. Lu, an elder, was also impressed by my integrity regarding my injuries. Lu's assessment confirmed the turtle's high quality. Fan sighed, knowing he had to pay up. Brother, since you risked your health, I can't pay the standard market rate. Market price is about 200, and other restaurants might only offer 150. I'll give you 300, 200 for the turtle, and 100 as a gift for your recovery. This was the absolute ceiling. I knew I couldn't get this price anywhere else. Fan's offer was a result of my performance and negotiation. The rarity of an 8-pound wild turtle made it worth the investment for Fan. Paying high was a calculated move. It showed his superiors he was a man of character who looked after his associates. It also provided a cover story. He was helping an injured young man. 300? Isn't that too much? I feigned surprise. I knew I had to play humble to keep the business relationship alive. Not at all. Consider it a contribution toward your rifle. I scratched my head, mimicking a naive, foolish expression. Hee hee, then thank you, Brother Fan. I realized the extra money was a calculated social investment by the manager, not pure kindness. I left the restaurant, stunned by the 300 yuan payout. I realized that without the injury, I never would have secured such a high price. I realized that by getting injured, I had actually turned a potential reprimand into a display of loyalty. By gifting such a valuable item to my superior, I proved my character, making the manager's extra payment look like a generous, well-deserved reward for my sacrifice. It was a stroke of luck. Without the injury, Manager Fan would never have paid more than 200 to 250 yuan for the wild turtle. Whatever his motives are, it doesn't matter. The money is in my pocket. No need to overthink it. I tallied my funds in private. After accounting for the 30 yuan black market loss and the cost of safflower oil, I still had over 420 yuan. Just a little longer, and I can afford a Mauser rifle. Elated, I biked back to the village, only to find two familiar faces waiting at my door, Huang Shan and Huang Hai from Huangjia Village. The Huang brothers had come all the way from their village to see me. Brother Su, you're back? Yes, just returned the village head's bike. Is something the matter? I invited them in, but they stopped me. No need. We're here for a specific reason. Huang Shan smiled sheepishly. We came to thank you for saving my father. But there's more. That Paolon Z trap has struck again. I was stunned. I thought that trap was near our mountain in Sanshuiwan. It moved. An old hunter from our village was caught by it recently and didn't survive. The village reported it to the commune. They're organizing a militia hunt. The collective gets the pork, but the commune will buy it at market price, and the one who kills the beast gets the head and offal. They're providing rifles to those with experience, and we can form our own hunting teams. I realized they wanted me to join the hunt. I lacked shooting experience. Hitting a target at 50 meters would be a miracle. I worried about the militia's strict rules regarding safety and accidental injury. Is it allowed for someone from another village to join? Of course. Plenty of people are bringing their sons-in-law. Why not you? I knew I wasn't actually part of the Huang family. Don't worry, Huang Shan insisted. If anyone asks, we'll just say you're courting my sister. It's just a formality. With the three of us and my uncle, one of the best hunters around, we'll be unstoppable. It was a clear invitation to share the spoils, meat and money, a gesture of gratitude. I understood. They were repaying my kindness and trying to build a deeper alliance, as their father clearly trusted me. Saving old man Huang when he was critically injured had earned the family's respect. 20 miles wasn't far for villagers, and I found the Huang family sincere. Plus, the sister was quite nice. In that case, I won't refuse. When do we start? Tomorrow morning. Be there. The brothers patted my shoulder, reassuring me. Don't worry, we won't let you get hurt. I could wrestle a 400-pound beast myself. It'll have to go through me first. Looking at Huang Shan's massive, muscular frame, I actually believed him. The man's arm was thicker than my leg. He was clearly a powerhouse. They were promising to protect me during the hunt. With their hunting experience and physical strength, their confidence was well-founded. Haha, Brother Huang. With you two around, I have nothing to fear. The brothers left, satisfied with my response, acting like protective brothers-in-law. Their heavy pats made me feel like a child. I doubted my own strength could match theirs. My 15 strength was relative to my own build, not a universal stat that allowed me to overpower giants. While I might be stronger than Su Shang, I was no match for Huang Shan, whose biceps were truly massive. After they left, I prepared the blue sheep neck I'd been saving. I had promised my younger sister meat, and despite my injuries and busy schedule, I finally had the chance to cook it. I chopped the meat, started the fire, and began to stew it. Third brother. What smells so good? The girl's nose was better than any dog's. It's mutton, just for you. I teased, lifting the lid to let her smell it. In this era, children craved fat. Lard-mixed rice was considered a luxury. Fat was the most valuable part of the meat because it provided essential calories, unlike lean meat or ribs. Third brother. I'm hungry, she begged, trying to snag a piece. She only acted this way with me, as she was closest to me. Not yet, it's not cooked through. You'll get a stomachache. Then I'll help with the fire. She started stuffing the stove with firewood, which I quickly stopped. Go on, get out of here. Go meet mother and your brothers. We'll eat when father gets home. She pouted and went back to playing with Heisey. Soon, Mother Sue returned from work, and Su Jin collapsed onto the bed, exhausted. Third brother, what are you cooking? Lu Yuji smelled the aroma immediately and guessed it was her son's doing. Just blue sheep neck soup with pepper. It'll be delicious with the flatbreads. Lu Yuji checked the pot, then smacked my back. You spendthrift. Why are you using pure cornmeal? Can't you mix in some wild greens or bran? I stayed silent, knowing better than to argue with my mother. Third brother, is it ready? Lao Si arrived, and I immediately shifted my frustration onto him. All you do is eat. Go set the table instead of standing there like a guest. Su Jin, Lao Si, shrank his neck and grumbled as he moved the table and chairs. He feared his third brother, me, more than his eldest brother, as I had physically disciplined him since childhood. Su's father returned, silencing the brothers, and asked why they were making such a racket. The family gathered in the north room. I served meat soup with pepper. Everyone got a small portion of meat, but my younger sister received a large bowl. With so little meat from the blue sheep, I prioritized my sister, leaving the others to fill up on soup. Father asked about my day. I explained I had sold the soft-shelled turtle in the county town. The eldest brother asked how much I earned, as father rarely inquired about money managed by mother. Father, knowing mother's resentment over his salary going to his parents, never asked about his children's earnings. I replied that I had enough to buy a Mauser rifle soon, which would help me hunt game to improve the family's diet. Su Sheng was shocked. A Mauser cost at least 200 yuan. Father, familiar with firearms, was skeptical and asked if I had done anything illegal. I understood father's concern regarding such a large sum. I explained the market value of the 8-pound turtle, which the family had seen, confirming the 150 yuan price was fair. Combined with my previous savings, 200 yuan was an accurate figure. I then announced I would head to Huang Village tomorrow and might not return until late. Mother asked excitedly if I was going to see Huang Sui. I clarified I was joining the Huang brothers for a village-organized hunt, accompanied by militia and an experienced hunter. I omitted my trap-setting plans, framing the hunt as a traditional seasonal event to drive away beasts and secure food for the village. Though spring hunting was unusual, my parents didn't object to the community-led activity. Father advised me to be cautious, stay with the experienced hunter, and avoid the deep mountains. I agreed. After finishing my meal, I retreated to my room to avoid further questioning. Mother chided me for leaving so abruptly. I ignored her, knowing she was just being fussy. The next morning, I borrowed a 2-shur bow from Huzi, which required 240 jin of force to draw fully. It required immense strength to operate effectively. I was the only one Huzi would trust with his grandfather's bow. With my 1.5x strength multiplier, I could manage it, even if I didn't pull it to full moon every time. A half draw provided power comparable to a full draw 1-shur bow, effective up to 50 meters. The 2-shur bow was a safety net. As my strength grew, it would become easier to handle. I didn't bring Huzi to avoid awkward rumors about the Huang family's daughter. I told my sister to stay home with Huzi and promised to bring back food. After dropping my sister off at Huzi's, I left the village. I arrived at Huangjia Village just as the villagers were gathering for the hunt. Huang Hai met me and offered to help me secure a rifle. The militia provided rifles to experienced hunters for the duration of the hunt. I declined, claiming I was more comfortable with my bow and feared missing with an unfamiliar weapon. I secretly wanted to practice with a gun to gain skills, but decided against it. I didn't want to embarrass the Huang family by missing. They reached the village square. Over 200 men had gathered, as Huangjia Village was twice the size of Sanshuiwan. Militia members arrived with crates of rifles. Huang Yong, the militia captain, addressed the crowd. He allowed free grouping, suggesting veterans lead the novices. Those without guns could register, pass a marksmanship test, and receive 10 rounds of ammunition. The test was mandatory for safety reasons. Those with their own guns could depart immediately. Everyone was warned to be careful and return by dusk. Huang Shan introduced me to his uncle, Huang Jianmen. Huang Jianmen, a 50-year-old hunter, thanked me for saving his brother's life. My quick actions had been critical. I asked why the uncle's son wasn't joining. Huang Shan explained his uncle had a son late in life who was currently in middle school. I didn't pry further. Huang Jianmen also suggested I take a rifle, but I declined again. Huang Hai returned with a Hanyang 88 rifle. Huang Jianmen and Huang Shan carried homemade shotguns. Huang Jianmin finished the registration process for our group. Huang Jianmin returned shortly. With a wave, he took the dog leashes from Huang Shan, signaling the start of their mountain trek. They led 8 dogs in total, the same group that had previously tangled with the Pao Lanzi. Huang Jianmin's 4 were large, while Huang Hai's group consisted of Dayong, a large black dog, and 3 medium-sized ones. As they entered the forest, the dogs began scouting. Huang Jianmin ordered the leashes released. The dogs scattered, sniffing as they moved. Huang Shan and Huang Hai insisted I walk in the middle for safety. I understood their concern and complied, moving to the center of the formation. The order was Huang Jianmin leading, followed by Huang Shan, I, and finally Huang Hai. I asked why they were heading north when everyone else went west. Huang Shan whispered that his uncle had tracked a Pao Lanzi here. He warned that the boar might have been driven out by a larger predator, so they needed to stay alert to avoid being caught in a trap. A Pao Lanzi is a mature male wild boar. Being driven out implied a stronger beast had claimed its territory. If this was the same boar that injured Huang Hongsheng, Huang Jianmin's theory about a larger predator was likely correct. Boars often travel in family groups. Predators often target the sows or piglets if they cannot take down the boar itself. Constant harassment by a predator could easily force a boar to relocate. The group realized they weren't just hunting. They were potentially entering the hunting ground of a larger, hidden beast. Suddenly, I stopped, drew my bow, and fired. A magpie fell from a tree. The others were stunned by my marksmanship. While the younger men were impressed, Huang Jianmin, an experienced hunter, recognized the immense difficulty of such a shot. Huang Jianmin praised the precision, noting the target was at least 30 meters away. I modestly attributed the success to luck. Huang Hai retrieved the bird. Huang Hai praised the shot, but questioned why I wasted an arrow on a magpie, which isn't good eating. I explained I was feeding my young wolf-green dog. Huang Hai offered his father's help in training the dog, noting his expertise. As they continued, the lead dogs, Dayong and Hutu, picked up a scent. The dogs converged on a single direction. They tracked the dogs for 2 miles to find a musk deer pinned by the pack. I immediately fired an arrow. From 50 meters away, the arrow pierced the deer's eyes, killing it instantly. The group was shocked. My speed had prevented Huang Shan from even calling out a warning. They weren't worried about the kill, but rather the safety of the dogs. Huang Shan gave a thumbs up, impressed by the accuracy. I had acted quickly to secure the kill before anyone else could use a firearm. I gained 15 skill points, a surprisingly high amount for a musk deer. My total reached 19 skill points. Despite the gain, I still lacked enough points to upgrade my archery skill. Huang Hai admitted that with such skill, he wouldn't bother with a rifle either. Huang Hai felt useless, having carried his Hanyang 88 rifle all this way without a chance to use it. I apologized, explaining I was practicing to overcome a plateau in my archery. I realized Huang Shan had been worried about the dogs. Huang Jianmin smoothed things over, praising the clean shot that left the pelt undamaged. He handed a knife to Huang Hai to process the kill. It was vital to feed the internal organs to the dogs immediately to maintain their hunting drive. Failing to reward the dogs would turn them into sly dogs that lose interest in working. Huang Hai gutted the deer and distributed the heart and liver to the dogs. Hunting dogs are kept hungry before a hunt to ensure they remain motivated. The deer weighed about 50 pounds. Huang Shan packed the carcass into his basket, and they moved on. The dogs, still hungry, resumed their search. A gunshot echoed nearby, followed by barking. They were surprised to find another group heading north instead of the popular western woods. They decided to investigate to offer help if needed. Huang Shan suspected they were just after the same prey, but they proceeded anyway. I followed as they tracked the sound of barking. Huang Shan mimicked a bird call, which was answered by the other group. I was intrigued by this custom. Huang Jianmin explained that bird calls were used to avoid startling hunters or prey and to prevent accidental friendly fire. Approaching silently could lead to being mistaken for game. I asked why the coo call was used. Huang Jianmin noted it was simply the easiest to mimic. They moved forward. The group approached the others. They encountered Uncle Duokai and his sons. They were fellow villagers. Duokai explained he had fired a warning shot after encountering a lone jackal. He had fired into the air to protect his dogs from the aggressive, likely displaced, Wolf King. Such older, Road wolves are notoriously cunning and dangerous. Huang warned everyone to be cautious, as these wolves were known to hunt humans, specifically targeting the neck. A former wolf king is never to be underestimated. Having survived by wits and ferocity, they are as dangerous as a cornered beast. We'll head that way, stay safe, Huang Duokai said, leading his son and the hunting dogs away. Uncle, do you think he's hiding something about finding a trap? People are selfish. Huang Shan's uncle once kept a trap location secret to claim the extra meat shares for himself. Duokai isn't that cunning. Let's head left since they went right, the uncle replied. Even if they were hiding something, they couldn't be forced to admit it. Wait, where are Dayong and the dogs? They looked around and realized the dogs had already caught a scent and bolted. Are they tracking that wolf? Unlikely. Dogs fear apex predators like wolves and wouldn't dare track one. I remained silent, relying on my own tracking skill rather than the dogs. Stats: age 19, physique 10, strength 15, speed 10. Skills: fishing LV3, basic archery LV9, tracking LV4, combat LV1. Skill points: 19. I considered pushing archery past LV9, but it wouldn't budge. Frustrated by the bottleneck, I decided to invest in tracking instead. I spent all 19 points, instantly boosting tracking from LV4 to LV7. Skills: fishing LV3, basic archery LV9, tracking LV7, combat LV1. Skill points: 0. My senses sharpened. I could hear further and gain night vision. My LV9 archery had already improved my eyesight, as accuracy requires keen vision. However, archery only provided a marginal boost to night vision compared to the tracking skill. Tracking granted me true night vision, allowing me to hunt effectively after dark. Suyu, you've been zoning out, Huang Hai noted. Oh, sorry, I was distracted, I replied. My brother called us. The dogs found something, Huang Hai said. Understood. As we walked, I analyzed the forest's complex scents: plants, feces, and game. Initially, the overwhelming odors made me dizzy and nauseous. I soon learned to isolate specific scents, filtering out the noise to focus on a single target. This control allowed me to stop covering my nose. I could also mentally reconstruct an animal's path by observing how plants were disturbed, as if seeing the creature pass by. This ability is incredible, I thought. Hi, go this way, it's a shortcut. My nose acted like a compass, guiding me toward the prey's location. Though the line was a mental simulation, I was certain it would lead us to the dogs. Huang Hai followed me, and I began dropping targets. A pheasant, a rabbit, and a Siberian roe deer fell to my arrows. Wait, I can't keep up. Let's wait for the others, Huang Hai panted. I had entered a combat mode, harvesting game effortlessly. Huang Hai was exhausted from just picking up the kills. I was a master hunter, while Huang Hai was just a weary pack mule. I looked down at the pile of game. The haul was impressive: a roe deer, 3 rabbits, 3 pheasants, 8 magpies, 5 squirrels, and several sparrows. Are you sure the dogs are coming here, or did you just use me to carry your loot? Look, your brother is right there. Dayong and the dogs appeared, followed by Huang Shan and his uncle. How did you know? Huang Hai asked in shock. Simple. They couldn't go north to the lake or back the way we came, so they had to circle west. Damn, that makes sense. Hey, why are you two here? Huang Shan asked. Huang Hai proudly explained my logic to the group. Impressive, Suyu. The dogs did circle back, Huang Shan admitted, holding a 5-pound rabbit. Huang Hai smirked and revealed the massive pile of game behind me. Huang Shan and his uncle stared in disbelief. You two killed all this in 30 minutes. Huang Jiamin asked, stunned. Huang Hai's smugness made Huang Shan flush with embarrassment and irritation. Enough bickering. Let's keep moving, Huang Jiamin ordered. The brigade would buy the meat for a communal feast, ensuring everyone ate well. It was a rare, festive occasion for the whole village. Selling to the brigade meant getting paid while still getting to eat the meat. A perfect deal. This was why hunting was restricted to the village and their kin. Let's go. Huang Shan, eager to utilize my archery, urged them forward. Hi, stay here and watch the pile, I said. Huang Hai, exhausted, readily agreed. Your aim is incredible, Suyu. Don't hold back, Huang Shan said. I nodded. I intended to be aggressive to maximize my skill points. The dogs suddenly stopped, whining and pacing nervously. Huang Jianmin signaled for caution. Something dangerous was ahead. I drew my two-sure bow, ready to fire. They crept forward and peeked through the brush. "It's a trap," Huang Shan whispered, but Huang Jianmin held him back. "Wait, don't be rash. The Paolon Z is cautious, suggesting a predator is nearby. Let's observe." I focused my senses, detecting an unfamiliar scent near the Paolon Z. Despite tracking the scent, I initially found nothing. My vision, sharp as a telescope, scanned the area 40 to 50 meters away. Suddenly, I spotted a leopard perched in a large locust tree 50 meters out. I pointed it out, and after a long search, the others finally made out the leopard's camouflaged pattern. A leopard. It must be what drove the Paolon Z here. Leopards are keen hunters. Our Hanyang 88 rifles are useless at this range. If we miss, it will hide. It's too fast. It could reach us in seconds. This is tricky. I asked, "Uncle Huang, how is your marksmanship? Are you willing to risk it?" Hunting always carries risk, but the rewards are worth it. If we kill the leopard, the Paolon Z will flee. If we kill the Paolon Z, the leopard remains a greater threat to the village. I'll handle the leopard with my bow. You use the Hanyang 88 on the Paolon Z. I lacked the strength to fully draw my two-sure bow to pierce the Paolon Z's thick hide. However, the Hanyang 88's bullets could easily penetrate the wild boar's skull. The leopard, being thinner-skinned, was vulnerable to my archery, and my skill allowed for rapid follow-up shots. What if you miss? You'll be in danger. I have absolute confidence. My bow can pierce its skull. Seeing the two-sure bow and recalling my past feats, Huang Jianmin grew confident. "Don't hesitate. Have San fetch the rifle from Huang Hai." "Agreed. I'll cover you once I've taken down the Paolon Z." Huang Jianmin prepared to cycle his bolt quickly to target the leopard if it charged me. "I'll go." "Keep the dogs quiet," San said, retreating stealthily. San moved back, running low to avoid detection. "Uncle, I'll move closer. When San returns with the rifle, we'll count to 3 and strike together. It's too dangerous to approach now. Wait for the rifle." Huang Jianmin held his homemade shotgun, loaded with large iron sand for close-range use. Its widespread made it too risky to fire near me. "Trust me, I have this." I circled around to flank the leopard. Huang Jianmin relented, trusting my skill. I couldn't actually draw the bow fully, which was why I couldn't solo both targets. I lacked the power to pierce the boar's armor. I had to sacrifice the skill points from the boar to ensure the leopard was dealt with. Reaching my position, I signaled Huang Jianmin and waited. At 40 meters, I was downwind, keeping me hidden from the leopard's sensitive nose. Otherwise, the cat would have surely detected me. Perched in a tree, I had a clear view of both targets. San and Huang Hai arrived with the catch. "Why bring the prey? You'll alert the leopard." I hissed. They had brought a 50-pound Siberian roe deer, already gutted. The strong scent of blood was a major risk. Huang Jianmin took the Hanyang 88, ordered the others to move the prey away, and signaled me. I aimed, my eyes locked on the leopard's pattern.